good. How you man? How you doing, man?
Yo, what up?
Hey, how old are you?
18.
All right, what's up? What you doing?
Yeah, so I just want to say, Christianity does not support any of those three.
Okay, which topic would you like to start with?
Anyone, you can start with, we can go top down, start with slavery.
Okay, so do you agree or disagree that God supports slavery?
So this one actually is the only one, so maybe I was wrong. Because technically, we're God's slaves, but like...
Well, I'm not talking about like metaphorical slavery. I'm talking about physically owning another person as property.
So slave, as I'm just gonna think slave is in like back in the early days of America. The Bible
Sure.
does not support that now.
Yeah. So in Leviticus 25, 44 through 46, God told the Israelites that they're allowed to get non-Israelites and own them as slaves for life. You can own them forever. And you're allowed to beat your slave with a rod with no punishment as long as the slave does not die from the beating.
Right.
So you agree that God supports that?
Oh well, he's just like for no unjust reason, but for the other two, just not at all. I want to say maybe the murder one would be for a just reason, I guess, but the second one not at all. So I guess
like, God doesn't say you need any kind of reason. He just says if you want to own slaves, you must go to the foreign nations around you and buy them. You can own them for life. But you can even own children as slaves.
He didn't just say those people can be slaves for no reason though. Those people
He didn't specify a reason at all.
Yeah, but if you read the Bible, you know earlier in the Bible it talks about all those people like those places, the Israelites, like they all were I forget what it is exactly, but like they all sinned and stuff. It was just, you know.
So
there was a reason for it too.
What was the reason? God didn't give any reason in the Bible. He just told the Israelites, if you want to own slaves for life, you must go and get them from the foreign nations around you.
To be honest, to be able to actually argue with you here, I'd actually have to be able to like know exactly what that is. So I guess I can't argue with you here properly. So I'm gonna have to back down from this argument.
Okay, so we want to move on to like grape or murder?
Yeah, we can move on to the second one. Grape.
Okay. If your mother was in a village and somebody attacked your mother's village, like in a battle, right, and killed your mother's parents, and thought your mother was beautiful and desired her for a wife, so the man captures your mother and takes her to his house and lets her cry for her parents for 30 days. And after the 30 days, he goes into your mother and forces her to be his wife. At that point, has your mother been captured and raped?
Yeah.
Okay, in Deuteronomy 21, 10 through 14, that is exactly what God says his soldiers are allowed to do, that they're allowed to capture women in battle and force them to be their wives.
And
Deuteronomy 21, 10 through 14. You gotta come back to the app. If you leave the app, you can't.
It beats me. I'll just use my book. I was gonna look it up, but it's gonna take me a second to get it. Do you just want to read it? I can just hear what you say.
Yeah, so this is about marrying women that you have captured in war. You might fight against your enemies, and the Lord your God might let you defeat them and take them as captives. You might see a beautiful woman among the captives who you want to be your wife. You must then bring her to your house where she will shave her head and cut her nails. She must change her clothes and take off the clothes she was wearing when she was captured in war. She will stay in your house and be sad about losing her father and her mother for a full month. After that, you may go into her and be her husband, and she will be your wife. If you're talking, we can't hear you.
My fault. I was gonna say, honestly, no argument there. I'd have to do more research, but from what you read, I have to say that's what it sounds like. But I'm not saying that's what it is, but I'm saying from what you've read, from what you told me, that's what it sounds like.
Yeah, so God supports this. This is what God supports his soldiers doing in battle, capturing women and forcing them to be their wives. I would consider that to be grape, and you agree that that is grape.
I would consider, from what you told me, that to be yes as well, yeah.
Yeah, okay, so...
I'd agree with you, yes.
Okay, so about murder, Do you think that people should be discriminated against for their religion?
He tells us not to discriminate others, so I'm gonna say no.
Okay, so would you consider killing people for worshiping other gods? Would that be murder?
I mean, that's what is gonna happen if you do it, just not by us. Like I wouldn't even call it murder either, though.
What? So killing somebody for not having the same belief system as you is not murder?
No, I'm not saying it's not murder, but I'm saying like from what I believe in, when everybody dies, if you believe in God, you're gonna go to heaven, right? But if you believe in some other God, then you're not gonna go to heaven. You're gonna go to hell.
God commands you to stone your children to death, stone your wife, stone your parents, even your friends, stone everybody to death who does not worship him, who worships other gods.
Oh, okay. So where is that at?
Deuteronomy 13:6.
I wish I could find Deuteronomy 13:6.
Yeah.
Oh, where is it at?
It says if your very own brother or your son or your daughter or the wife you love or your closest friend entices you, saying, "Let us go and worship other gods," do not yield to them or listen to them. Show them no pity. Do not spare them or shield them. You must certainly put them to death. Your hand must be the first in putting them to death, and the hands of all the people stone them to death because they have tried to turn you away from the Lord your God.
Okay.
That's murder. That's killing somebody because they don't believe in the same God you believe in. That's murder.
Well, I'm gonna say, without reading it already, I'm gonna know it's gonna be something like it's the way you interpret it. It's gonna be something like that. I already know, just based off of reading, or based off what you said. But can I read this from the start of chapter 13 really quick?
Sure.
All right.
You want to read it out loud so we can hear it, or?
Oh yeah, I can read it out loud. If there's arise among you a prophet or a dreamer of dreams, and giveth thee a sign or a wonder, and the sign or the wonder come to pass, whereof he spake unto thee, saying, Let us go after other gods which thou hast not known, and let us serve them. Thou shalt not hearken unto the word of that prophet or that dreamer of dreams, for the Lord your God proveth you to know whether ye love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul. Ye shall walk with the Lord your God, and fear him, and keep his commandments, and obey his voice, and ye shall serve him, and cleave unto him. And that prophet or that dreamer of dreams shall be put to death, because he has spoken to turn you away from your Lord your God, which brought you out of the land of Egypt, and redeemed you out of the house of bondage, to thrust thee out of the way, which the Lord thy God commanded thee to walk in. So shalt thou put evil away from the midst of thee. If thy brother, the son of thy mother, or thy son of thy daughter, or the wife of thy bosom, or thy friend, which is thine own soul, entice thee secretly, saying, Let us go and serve other gods, which thou hast not known, thou nor thy fathers, namely of the gods of the people which are around you, nigh unto thee, or far off from the end of the earth, even unto the other end of the earth. Thou shalt not consent unto him, or hearken unto him, neither shall thy eye pity him, neither shalt thou spare him, neither shalt thou conceal him, but thou shalt surely kill him. Thine hand shall be first upon him to put to death, and afterwards the hand of the people. And thou shalt stone him with stones, and he die, because he hath sought to thrust thee away from God, from the Lord thy God, which brought thee out of the Egypt, from the house of bondage. Okay.
Yeah, so God commands you to stone your children to death for worshiping other gods. Would you consider that murder?
Yeah, that is murder.
Okay, so you agree with me on all these points. You agree that God supports slavery, he supports rape, he supports murder. Why do you support a God that supports these things?
So the thing is, what I'm saying is, I don't think it supports that. What you've told me, from what I've read, from what I know, from what you told me, it supports that. But I already like debated or seen these debates on YouTube or TikTok and stuff like that, and other people who actually know more, they have the responses.
You don't think God supports this?
To these verses. Well, it's the Old Testament as well.
Yeah, but Jesus says not one bit of the Old Testament writings will will go away until the heaven and the earth are gone. And anyone who doesn't obey these laws, it will be the least important person in the kingdom of heaven.
Wait, what?
Yeah. In Matthew 5:17, this is what Jesus says about the Old Testament writings. Don't think that I have come to destroy the old law of Moses or the teachings of the prophets. I have not come to destroy the teachings, but to give full meaning to them. I assure you that nothing will disappear from the old law until heaven and the earth are gone. The law will not lose even the smallest letter or the smallest part of a letter until it has all been done. A person should obey every command in the old law, even one that does not seem important. Whoever refuses to obey any command and teaches others not to obey it will be the least important in God's kingdom. But whoever obeys the law and teaches others to obey it will be great in God's kingdom.
Yeah. So when it says like fulfill, I feel like that's still what it means. Like it's fulfilling. It's not destroying.
How do you fulfill a law?
Like this is a part of all the laws. Like this is fulfill. Like this was supposed to happen, and he was fulfilling it.
How do you fulfill a law?
I don't know.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
I guess him coming to earth in his crucifixion. I guess.
Yeah, but he says, "I have not come to destroy the law, and anyone who disobeys these laws will be the least important person in God's kingdom."
Yeah, no, everything you say, I 100% agree with you. So literally, I can't argue with you. You're 100% right. Like I have no rebuttal. So,
all right. Well, I appreciate you coming on here. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. You have a good day, bro.
You too. Thanks. Everyone keep tapping those likes, guys. Make sure you're spamming the likes. Make sure you're following here and sharing the live out, guys. I really appreciate you if you can just share the live with a couple of friends right now. And subscribe to my YouTube if you want to go back and watch the full live streams. I have all of my live streams on my YouTube. The link's in the bio. Hello?
Hello?
Yes, hello?
Hey, what's up, man?
Hey, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Good.
Are you a Christian?
I am, yes, sir.
All right, what do you got for us?
Hold on, give me 1 sec. I'm going to another room here real quick. I didn't realize that there was only a few people requesting. Usually there's a good amount of people requesting to be in these things. So I don't know. Where do we want to start?
Well, first off, do you disagree that Christianity supports the following?
I do disagree that support in a sense of God wants us to do those things. But I don't disagree that those things happen.
Well, if God didn't want you to do it, he would have put it on the list of things that you shall not do.
Well, God does, what's the word? God does decree things, and God actually determines things to happen that he also abhors. So, for example, God doesn't want us to murder. However, God was literally the author and created the plan for Jesus's death.
God does want
and so
you to
there are
murder.
plenty of places in Scripture that
God does want you to murder. In fact, in some cases, he commands it.
He commands in a certain culture, in a certain scenario, to commit acts within the justification.
He commands.
Of that culture and of that setting.
He commands babies to be killed. He commands you to stone your children to death for worshiping other gods, stuff like that.
Yeah. So let's deal with some of those. Which one we want to go to?
Well, as a Christian, do you think that religious discrimination is always wrong?
I'm sorry. Ask that one more time.
As a Christian, do you believe that religious discrimination is always wrong?
In what sense? Like other religions?
Yeah, like, do you believe that discriminating against somebody because of their religious beliefs is wrong?
I don't really know how I like or how I feel about the word discriminating. I certainly don't treat people different because of their religion. However, I am not a fan of different religions. I'm not a fan of freedom of religion.
Do you think it's wrong to kill people for worshiping other gods that you believe in?
Wrong for me? Absolutely.
Right, but this is what God wants you to do.
He doesn't.
Yeah, so let's read it. Deuteronomy 13:6.
Okay.
6 through like 11, 6 through 11. You want me to read it? Are you driving?
Yeah, go ahead.
Wait,
I'm not. No, I'm outside. I'm walking around. There's cars around me, though.
You have a bad delay. There's like a delay between us.
Oh, I'm sorry. Let me.
So just
let
to
me go back
clarify,
where I was here.
Just to clarify, you are saying that God did not tell you to stone your children to death for worshiping other gods.
He did not tell me no.
Well, obviously he didn't tell you personally, but did God command this in the Bible?
Are you referring to Deuteronomy?
Yes. Deuteronomy 13, 6 through 10, where
Okay.
God commands that children be stoned for not believing in him or worshiping other gods.
Yeah, God is a jealous God, and does not want people to worship other gods. So I am turning my car on. I'm not driving. I'm just sitting in my car
Is
to get
that
out of the building I was in.
is that murder to kill children for not worshiping the God you worship?
Well, murder. What is the? How would we define murder? I think it's
Unjustified.
important to define
Unjustified killing.
unjustified. Okay, so no.
So you think it's justified to stone children to death for worshiping other gods?
I think the creator of morality, the creator of the universe, the creator of what is good and not good, gets to determine exactly that. Therefore, gets to determine what is just and unjust in terms of how he acts.
Okay, so if God is the creator of morality and his morality is perfect, and God says that it's morally permissible, in fact, I command you to stone children to death for not worshiping me and for worshiping other gods, then that to you is good. In your worldview, that is a good and acceptable act to stone children to death for worshiping other gods.
Personally, I deserve to be stoned to death every time I commit a sin.
That's not what I asked you.
And so
It's not what I asked you. Can you answer the question that I asked you?
You're asking me if it's morally permissible for God to stone somebody who sins.
That is not what I asked you.
Okay, I'm sorry. Can you re-ask it one more time then? I'm sorry.
So if God is the creator of morality and his morality is perfect, then God thinks it's morally permissible, in fact, commands children to be stoned to death for worshiping other gods. That to you is a good and acceptable act to do to somebody.
I would not do that to somebody.
This is what God commands.
For God in the culture and in the context of what he's talking about and who he's speaking to. Sure, we do have Jesus, who I know you dealt with your last guest, the whole fulfillment of that, and you reference Jesus and his Sermon on the Mount, and him talking about not abolishing the law but being the fulfillment of it, which I actually think you're pretty right on. You're almost there to actually understanding part of the gospel and why Jesus came to earth. And it is to fulfill the law.
Jesus says the person who obeys all the old laws will be the greatest person in the kingdom of heaven. Anyone who refuses to obey the old laws will be the least important person in heaven. And one of these old laws, is the commandment from God to stone children to death for worshiping other gods.
Okay, can I ask a question real quick?
Sure.
It is related. Have you read through the Bible in its entirety?
Yeah, I've read it twice. Yeah.
Okay. Do you think the Pharisees in the Gospels, do you think that they are meant to be portrayed as protagonists or antagonists in the scriptures?
I would consider saying that like telling people to stone children to death for worshiping other gods. I would consider that to be antagonist. Yeah.
I understand that from our human perspective and our understanding of the world. Absolutely. I'm asking if the Pharisees in the gospel are good guys or are bad guys in the perspective of the.
It depends on what the message
the Bible is being written.
Thank you for the bear. It depends on what the message is. What message is being preached.
Okay. So in the message that's being preached in the Gospels of being morally perfect and them persecuting somebody for, at least in my perspective and my understanding and how the scriptures are written, persecuting somebody that did nothing wrong, are they right or wrong?
I'm confused by what you're asking me.
So
here.
I'm just asking because the scripture you're referring to, where Jesus says that no law will be lost and we are to obey every law, and whoever obeys every law will be the greatest, whoever doesn't is the least. If there's a few verses later where Jesus then says, if anyone wants to be the greatest, they must be like the Pharisees.
They must be better than the Pharisees, I think.
They must be better, which in that time, everybody knew that the show and the picture in the front that the Pharisees put on was a front of perfection, even though Jesus clarifies and the apostles clarify that they're hypocrites. They do everything outside to show, but inside they're wolves, inside they're liars. And so Jesus is actually building up this standard of absolute perfection with the expectation and the understanding that no person is going to think they can live up to that, which is why Jesus came, because eventually in his ministry after 3 years,
Okay,
he's going
I feel
to
like
die.
you're just preaching now. I feel like you're just kind of preaching.
Well,
Can we get back to?
I gotcha. First off, I do want to say I appreciate your ability and your willingness to do the work. And I would say for any Christian in here, if you would just put in the same amount of effort that this guy is putting in for his position.
All right, I'm going to move on to the next guest because this guy is just yapping at this point. Make sure you guys are spamming the likes, everybody, and click the follow button. I'm not sure what this dude was talking about. He wouldn't stay on topic, or he just kept yapping. Hello?
Hello.
Hello, how are you doing?
So I just wanted to talk about like the slavery and the rape, because I don't think the Bible says rape in there ever.
Well, let's use your mother for example, and then you tell me if this is grape or not, okay? Hello? Are you there? You got to come back to the app. I can't hear you.
Okay.
So if somebody saw your mother in battle and desired her for a wife because he thought she was beautiful, and captured your mother and killed your mother's parents, took your mother to his home and let your mother cry over her dead parents for 30 days, and after 30 days he goes into your mother and forces her to be his wife. At that point, has your mother been captured and raped?
No.
No. So if somebody
how many other cultures?
Sir,
Hold on.
If somebody captures your mother and takes her to his house and waits 30 days for her to cry over her parents that you've just slaughtered, and then he goes into her and forces her to be his wife, you're saying that that's not rape?
No. Because it's what it's saying is God's like, if you want to be with this woman, if you want to lay with her, you're going to have to marry her. And he's like, you're going to give her 30 days to mourn before you try to do this.
Where's the consent here?
Well, the consent would be like, the consent would be whatever happened after 30 days. Like he's saying, you're going to give her a 30-day period to mourn.
She's been captured. There is no consent. This is non-consensual. The woman has no say in this. She's been captured and taken to this man's house where he cuts off her nails so that she can't defend herself, cuts off her hair, cuts off her clothes, and lets her mourn for her parents for 30 days, and then goes into her and makes her his wife.
God's saying you can't go into her unless you marry her. And
no, it says
it
says to go into her. That's how you consummate a marriage. You go into her first, then she's your wife.
But the stipulation is you're going to take her for a wife. You're not just going to go.
And that is against her will. She is not your mother in this situation. Where did your mother? Where did your mother consent? Where did your mother consent at?
It's saying give the woman 30 days to mourn, and then it's not saying you can go after that. You can then the process to getting to marry her is when that starts, right?
So if somebody captured your mother and took her to his house and then waited 30 days and then goes into her and makes her his wife, you'd show up at the wedding ceremony all just happy as could be. Hey, Mom, I'm glad you're getting married, and you'd shake your new stepdad's hand and everything.
So this is a pretty barbaric time period, and other cultures weren't setting that aside.
Sir,
they were like running out, raping people right while they're doing battle.
Answer the question.
I don't know any culture like.
Are you gonna show up to your mother's wedding and shake your new stepdaddy's hand after he's captured your mother and kept her in his house for a month, and then goes into her and forces her to be his wife?
Well, you don't know he's forcing her.
Where's the consent? She's been captured.
You don't know what happens after that 30 days of mourning.
It doesn't. Whatever happens after somebody is captured is irrelevant. The moment you capture someone, all of the consent has been thrown out the window, right? You could see a beautiful woman and slaughter her parents and capture her and take her to her house, take her to your house, and cut off her nails, trim her nails so that she can't defend herself and fight against you and scratch you. And then wait for 30 days for her while she mourns for her parents, and you go into her. That is not consensual. She has not consented to any of this. This is grape. And the fact that you're going to sit here and say, no, my mom hasn't been raped, even though my mom has been captured and the guy waited a month, right? He didn't just immediately rape her. Like, Your Honor, I waited 1 month. Officer, I waited 30 days before. I'm a gentleman. I didn't just immediately rape her. I waited 30 days, and then I went into her and forced her to be my wife.
The thing that you're missing is it's not like it's after 30 days, then you can work.
It doesn't matter if you wait. It doesn't matter if you wait 30 months. If you capture a woman and you force her to stay in your home and you wait 30 months and then you go into her, that is grape. That is grape. That she has not consented to this.
So this woman, essentially their society, their people have been conquered, right? The males were all slaughtered. If they left her out there in the wild to just defend for herself, she would probably die anyway.
So it's better instead of leaving her there, it's better to capture her and grape her? That's what you're saying? Do you hear yourself? This is absolutely
you're not.
This is absolutely disgusting. You are a red flag. You are a typical Christian red flag. This is absolutely fucking disgusting. You're going to sit there and say it's better for this woman to be captured and graped as opposed to just leave her there, right? Just leave her there. Well, her family's been slaughtered. We killed her parents. We can't just leave her there, can we? We got to capture her, and then I'm going to make her my wife. I mean, I can't just leave her alone, can I? I can't just leave her there, right? Go ahead and unmute yourself, and I want to hear you try to respond to this, because this is fucking wild. Go ahead, click the little microphone button and unmute yourself.
So you're muting me.
Yes, because I was trying to talk. And
the power of mute.
Yes. Just like, well, obviously you like having power too, right? You think it's better to capture a woman and grape her as opposed to leaving her alone.
At this time period, if you ever watch like the movies like Vikings, how the Vikings conducted themselves, there was not this ethical manner of taking captives.
Sir, I don't want to talk about the TV show Vikings. I want to talk about your God.
Well, what about the other cultures at the time?
I don't want to talk about other cultures. I want to talk about your God. Stop whataboutism. What about? But what about? But what about? I'm talking about your belief system, your God, what your book says. Okay? Your God, your all-loving, all-good God says that you're allowed to capture a woman and force her to be your wife. That is grape. That is turning her into a sex slave. She cannot leave when she wants to. She's forced to marry the person who just killed her parents. She's forced to marry the person who has captured her. And where did you go? Come back to the app.
I didn't go nowhere.
If you swipe out of the app, we can't hear or see you.
I'm not out of the app.
Okay. So, again, if somebody captures your mother and takes her to her house and goes into her and forces her to be his wife, you're saying your mother has not been raped at that point.
Is what God is saying. God is saying, if you want to be with this woman, you're not just going to go be with her and then throw her away. You're going to be with her, you're going to marry her, and you're going to take her and take care of her for the rest of her life.
Has the woman consented to this?
We don't know. Do you know what
we
the
do
woman
know.
consented to?
Yeah, we do know. We do know she has not
you
consented.
think about how many people
Hunter,
there's nowhere to go.
Hunter, we do know that this woman has not consented to this. You know how we know? Because she is a captured woman. She's been kidnapped. She's been taken against her will. There's no consent in that.
And you don't think that this woman knows the rules of battle because she's probably been in situations.
Oh, so are you blaming the woman? You're blaming the woman? Are you blaming the woman now? You're blaming the woman.
No, see, you're trying to talk over me and not let me finish my point. You're just cutting me off in the middle so that I can't make any point. The point is this woman probably knows what happens in battle because the people that they're with goes out and conquers, and they probably bring back their own slaves.
You're victim blaming. You're literally victim blaming right now. You're blaming this woman. You're saying, well, she knows the consequences of being in this tribe. So you're agreeing that it is grape now. You're agreeing
it's not even being in the tribe.
You're agreeing.
Yeah,
you're agreeing.
She's
Hunter,
probably part of a tribe that doesn't give a 30-day consent. They can rape and murder them if they want.
So it's better to wait 30. You're saying it's better. Well, at least they wait 30 days, right? It's okay that he grapes her
God
because
is
at least they wait
saying
30
if
days.
you're going to be with this woman, you're going to take care of that woman for the rest of your life. That's what God is saying.
Yeah. Yes. Against her will. Against her will. That is grape.
At least she's being taken care of.
So it's okay to grape a woman if you take care of her.
The thing is you don't know.
Is it okay?
Is it okay to going on? That's
is it okay?
The point.
Is it okay? Is it okay to grape a woman as long as
you don't know that that's what's you don't know that's what's happened.
Sir, where's the consent? Show me the consent. Show me where she consented.
Okay. If you go back earlier in the Bible, it's like you look at how Jacob's sons treat people that
show me the
women.
consent. Show me the consent here, and then I will stop saying that she's been raped.
I'm telling you that the Jacob's sons.
No, stop. No. I don't want. We're talking about Deuteronomy 10 through Deuteronomy 21 10 through 14. Show me where this woman has consented to this, and I'll stop saying that she was raped.
Well, I'm trying to show you that they don't.
You're trying to run away to another verse. You're trying to run away. You're trying to run away to another verse.
In forcing themselves on a woman.
Yes, they do. They have forced themselves on this woman. They have captured this woman and forcefully taken her to his house.
And what does it say if you don't want to be with her, to let her go?
Yeah, if you're tired of her, after you've used her and you're done with her, you can kick her back out.
Once you're married, you're married.
No, the verse says
if the verse says to be with her, let her go.
No, it says if you are not pleased with her and choose to divorce her, set her free. You cannot sell her. You had sexual relations with her, so you must not treat her like a slave. So that actually defeats your argument.
It says that if you've had sexual relations with her in the Bible.
Verse 14 says, if you are not pleased with her and choose to divorce her, set her free. You cannot sell her. You had sexual relations with her, so you must not treat her like a slave. So that defeats your argument earlier when you said, well, they couldn't just leave her there. They couldn't just let her go. They had to capture her and grape her. Well, no, they could have just let her go because after you capture her and go into her, if you're not pleased with her, guess what? You can let her go. So he could have let her go in the first place.
Well, I think God's saying that if you're going to be with a woman, you're going to have to marry her and take care of her.
Yeah, against her will. Against her will.
It's not forcing yourself on her.
Where did she consent? Where did she consent?
We don't know that.
We do know she didn't consent. Do you know how we know she didn't consent, Hunter? You know how we know?
I know, but you're trying to make an argument.
Do you know how? Do you know how we know? Do you know how we know? Because she was captured. She was kidnapped against her will. That is against her will. That is non-consensual. And then, after he's done with her, if he's not pleased with her, he can set her free, which implies that she is captured, which implies she is a slave. She is somebody's property. She can let her go. If he lets her go, that means that she is not free to go. So it's against her will. It's non-consensual. Stop trying to justify this. Stop trying to justify this bullshit. Stop trying to justify saying that it's the woman knew. This is what you did. Well, the woman knew the consequences. You started victim blaming her. The woman knew the consequences. Then you said, well, they could have let her go. They couldn't just let her go, which in fact they could have let her go because after he captures her and grapes her, and if he's not pleased with her, he can let her go. So he could have let her go in the first place.
Yeah, well, I don't see it like. I see her being not without any people, her being in a wild place where there's marauders and people like running around. If if they take her in, she's got more safety than if they didn't.
Okay, so if it was your daughter and they slaughtered the entire village in war and battle and it was your daughter, would you prefer that your daughter be let go, or would you prefer that your daughter be captured and forced to be somebody's husband or forced to be somebody's wife?
It depends on the people capturing.
So the people that come in and slaughter your daughter's village, would you rather have them let your daughter go, or would you rather have them capture your daughter and take her to his house and go into her and force her to be his wife?
The problem is you don't know, like, the culture's running around at that time and why.
Would you rather your daughter be let go, or would you rather your daughter be captured and forced to be somebody's wife?
It depends whose wife.
Oh my God. I cannot. You people are so disgusting.
You want to know what's disgusting?
You're absolutely fucking disgusting.
Atheists right now enslave more.
You are absolutely. What? Atheists enslave people? Oh my God. I'm trying to relax here. That is absolutely this fucking disgusting. You Christians are something else, man. You people are something else. He tried to victim blame the woman, saying that the woman knows the consequences of being in the tribe. You know, she knows what happens in times of war. And when it came to his own daughter, you wouldn't rather let your daughter go as opposed to her being forced to be somebody's wife?
This is it. Cover.
Hey, how you doing?
Thank you for the choral, Days. Thank you, Days. Appreciate you, man. Yeah, hello. How are you doing?
So I'm just trying to figure out, first of all, what verse are you even talking about that condones this thing?
It's Deuteronomy 21, 10 through 14.
Now, is this the story where the Levite, the brother of their sister, Simeon and Levi, end up actually talking or going back and killing the guy? What verse is this?
Deuteronomy 21, 10 through 14. It's just instructions on how you can take a woman captured in war. It's just instructions on how to marry a woman that you've taken in war. That's all it is. You have to come back to the app. We can't hear you if you leave the app. Sir, you have to come back to the app.
All right, hold on. So
if you leave the app, we can't hear you.
Okay, no problem. So do you mind reading the whole thing for me, like the whole chapter?
You want me to read the entire fucking chapter of Deuteronomy to you?
No. The book is called Deuteronomy. The chapter itself is chapter 10 that you just said. So I was wondering if you could read the whole chapter.
Chapter 21.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, if you
verse 10 through 14. It starts with woman captured in war. You might fight against your enemies, and the Lord your God might let you defeat them and take them as captives. You might see a beautiful woman among the captives who you want to be your wife. You must bring her into your house, where she will shave her head and cut her nails. She must change her clothes and take off the clothes she was wearing when she was captured in war. She will stay in your house and be sad about losing her father and her mother for a full month. After that, you may go into her and be her husband, and she will be your wife.
Okay. So in this situation, they're actually talking about a more barbaric time in general, right? But
it doesn't matter. Your God doesn't change. This is what your God commands. Your God's morality never changes. So if your God thinks it's morally permissible back then to capture women and grape them, then he still thinks it's morally permissible now to capture women.
Hold on. God gives us an immutable law, right? So in Exodus, right, early on, Exodus, Numbers, these things come before Deuteronomy. If you're looking at Deuteronomy, right, you're not really looking in the full context of what they're talking about, right?
What's the context?
Obviously,
what's the context for capturing a woman?
God says in his word, right, that you're supposed to respect people because each one of us is an image bearer.
What is the context for capturing a woman and taking her and forcing her to be your wife?
Hold on. Let me get there. Because the problem is...
Just stop preaching and give me the context that you claim I'm missing.
I'm trying to. That's literally what I'm trying to do.
Stay on topic.
Yes.
Give me the verse. Give me the context.
Well,
so this woman.
I'm sitting here on my phone.
Okay.
So and you just told me I can't go to my Bible app in order to look at it myself to show you. As well
if you leave, we can't hear you.
Yeah, I know that's what I'm saying. So it's okay. Like if you just let me then.
You made the claim that I'm missing context. So give me the context.
So if you read the 10 Commandments, right?
No. Give me the context for this story here, where this woman is being captured and raped.
I am.
No. Don't go to the Ten Commandments. Talk about this story right here.
Well,
a woman being captured in war.
Story, but the thing is you're not letting me use any context. That's what you're doing, right?
I'm talking about a woman being captured in war and raped, and you said I'm missing context for that. So give me the context for that story specifically.
I'm trying to, right?
Okay, go ahead.
So God, in His law, says that we ought to respect all people, right?
You're just preaching. What does any of this have to do with this woman being captured and raped? What's the context for that?
Because it matters, because if you understand how God tries to teach us, what then you will then understand is that God wouldn't let you or just say, hey, you can rape somebody. Now, if you're, for example, if she's in your house for 30 days, you have to ask this person.
Nope, it doesn't say that. Doesn't say that.
That's
she's been captured. She has been captured. And then after 30 days of her crying over her dead parents that you just killed, you can go into her and make her your wife. Force her to be your wife.
But
there's no consent here. There's no consent here.
I'm trying to tell you how God asks men to treat people in general. So then
this is what God says you're allowed to do. God says in war, in battle, you can capture a woman if you think she's beautiful and forcefully capture her and take her to your house, where you let her cry over her dead parents and you cut her nails so that she can't defend herself and scratch you. And then you go into her and make her your wife. This is capturing and raping a woman. And this is what God says you're allowed to do.
I'm trying to explain to you that God has a way that He already tells you to treat people.
Preach mode.
Well, if you don't want me to tell you the truth, that's okay.
You're just preaching. Give me the context for this that justifies this.
Because I'm trying to, my friend. But I can't do that if you cut me off while I'm trying to tell you what the context is.
Do not mention another verse. Do not mention the Ten Commandments. Give me the context for Deuteronomy 21:10 through 14. Give me the context.
This is the context. That's literally what
go ahead. Do not leave this verse. Do not leave this story. Give me the context directly for this story. Go ahead.
If I say in the art of Sun Tzu, right?
Oh my God.
Give
me the context. Give me the context.
You won't let me, boss. You won't let me. I keep trying to. You won't let me.
Every time you speak, you don't talk about the story in the topic.
Because you won't let me. You won't even think about it. You're basically saying go, and I can't even use verse 20 because you're saying I can't use the word.
Nix.
I don't understand what you're talking about then. Because I can't give you the context if you only sit here and cut me off.
The topic of the discussion that we are having right now is about Deuteronomy 21:10 through 14, where God says you can capture a woman and force her to be your wife. You claimed I'm missing context on that story. You claimed I'm missing context for Deuteronomy 21:10 through 14. Now, please provide the context for Deuteronomy 21:10 through 14.
When you read God's laws, He wants us to treat people with respect.
God's law is to capture a woman. God's law, He wants you to capture a woman and rape them.
You're missing that God requires men to act a certain way in general. If you don't add that in, then you obviously can just sit here and say that anybody is allowed to be raped because of this verse I'm reading.
In a time of battle,
you have to read and understand who God is. If you don't,
I don't have to understand who God is. I just need the context that justifies this story here.
Right, but that's because what I'm trying to tell you is that you need more context. More context.
So Nick,
knowing who
first of all, would you consider this to be rape in the first place?
In this situation, knowing who I know about God, no.
So if somebody saw your mother in a battle and thought she was beautiful and desired her for a wife, decided to kill her parents and capture your mother and take her to his house and go into her and make her his wife, at that point, you're saying your mother has not been raped?
No, because see, this thing.
What?
Hold on. Let me.
So, Nix, if I saw your mother, if I personally saw your mother and I thought she was beautiful and I captured your mother and took her to my house and went into her and forced her to be my wife, have I raped your mother?
Okay, so you
Have I raped your mother?
You have, because
Okay, that's exactly what happens in this story. So you agreed it is great.
If you would let me finish, right? By knowing who God is, if you follow God and you follow what
Preach mode.
But you're saying this is what I'm saying. You're trying to say preach mode.
Preach mode.
Continue.
Preach mode.
If you know who God is and you follow what God is actually.
Get out of here. This isn't Sunday church service. Go preach somewhere else. He said his mother hasn't been raped. He said that if somebody were to capture his mother and take his mother to their house and go into her and force her to be his wife, that his mother hasn't been raped. He'd show up at the wedding reception all happy as can be and shake the hands of his new stepfather and say, hey mom, how'd you like? Congratulations on being captured and raped, mom. Congratulations, I'm happy to be here at this wedding here.
Yo.
How old are you?
18.
What's a W-2?
It's for like work, like on your job application.
Okay. Are you a Christian?
Yes, I am.
All right. What do you got for us?
Can I just start off by asking why you don't believe in God?
Because I'm not convinced that any gods exist.
Is it okay if I share why I believe in God?
No.
All right.
Respectfully, personal testimony isn't valuable to me because it doesn't mean anything. It's not proof of anything. So I'm sorry, but no.
All right, that's valid, I guess. So where do you want to start?
Do you disagree with all of these? Slavery, rape, and murder? You disagree that God supports these things?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so slavery. Did God tell the Israelites that they're allowed to own non-Israelites as slaves for life?
Can you give me the verse and chapter?
It's Leviticus 25, 44 through 46.
All right, so you're referring to the Old Testimony, correct?
Yes.
Well, the Old Testimony technically does not apply to us.
Okay, let's look at what Jesus says about the Old Testament writings, okay? This is what Jesus says about the Old Testament writings. Don't think that I have come to destroy the law of Moses or the teachings of the prophets. I have not come to destroy their teachings. I have come to give full meaning to them. I assure you that nothing will disappear from the old law until heaven and earth are gone. A person should obey every command in the old law, even one that does not seem important. Whoever refuses to obey any command and teaches others not to obey it will be the least important person in God's kingdom. But whoever obeys the old law and teaches others to obey it, they will be great in God's kingdom.
All right, so here's the thing. With Leviticus, it talks about moral laws, right?
It's Leviticus 25, 44 through 46, where God told the Israelites that they're allowed to own non-Israelites as slaves for life.
Yes, so in Leviticus, it talks about moral laws, right? And when Jesus died on the cross, he fulfilled all of these laws. So
what does that mean? What does it mean to fulfill? What does it mean to fulfill a law?
I'll give you an example. It's the same way.
Jackson? How do you fulfill a law?
Well, that's the thing. Like the laws still exist, but he fulfilled them to the point where we don't have to follow them.
How do you fulfill a law?
Like that's the hard part to figure out because it's like it's hard to say like exactly how you can fulfill.
It's not hard. It's not hard at all. I'll tell you exactly how you fulfill a law. Would you like me to demonstrate how you fulfill a law?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, the law is you must wear your seatbelt. Okay,
that is actually not a law.
Yes, the law. You have to wear your seatbelt. That's a law.
That's not a law. It's actually not illegal for you to wear a seatbelt.
Well, it's. I will get pulled where I live. You get pulled over and get a ticket for not wearing a seatbelt.
Okay, that's fine.
So the law is you have to wear a seatbelt. So if I take my seatbelt and I buckle up, I have now fulfilled that law. I have finished the law of wearing your seatbelt. I've fulfilled it. So that's how you fulfill a law. So if the law is that you can go and kill your children for worshiping other gods, how do you fulfill that law?
That is not a law.
Yes, that's a commandment from God to stone your children and to stone your spouse and your parents and your best friend if they worship other gods.
So you're talking about idolatry and how God says that if somebody tries to pull you away.
Yep. If you find out that your children are worshiping other gods, God commands you to stone them to death. And Jesus says anyone who obeys the old law will be the greatest in God's kingdom.
All right, but I still believe that when Jesus died on the cross, he fulfilled all of these laws.
How do you fulfill a law?
Well, you just explained it.
Yeah. So if the law is to stone your children to death for worshiping other gods, how do you fulfill it?
Well, that's the thing. I believe that he already fulfilled these things when he died. Like, we no longer
Jesus,
have to follow
Jesus
by
stoned,
these things.
Jesus stoned people to death for worshiping
No,
other
Jesus
gods.
was sinless. Jesus actually says, if you look in Matthew, Jesus says that thou shalt not commit murder. It literally says it in Matthew.
Listen,
I don't believe I know the verse.
I don't. There's a very specific reason why I don't care anything about the New Testament, because Jesus says that the Old Testament law will not change or go away until the heaven and the earth are gone. Are the heaven and the earth gone, sir?
No.
Then I don't give a fuck about the New Testament. The Old Testament says that you can own slaves for life. The Old Testament says that you can murder people for worshiping other gods. God commanded people to go and kill all the Amalekite babies and pregnant women. And the Old Testament says that you can capture women in war and force them to be your wives.
The Old Testament doesn't apply to us because we're no
longer. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Have the heaven and the earth gone? Are the heaven and the earth gone?
No, the earth is not gone. We're living.
Okay, well then I don't care about the New Testament because Jesus says not one bit of the old law will be destroyed until the earth is gone.
But the Old Testament does not apply to us because
Jesus says it does. How dare you disagree with Jesus? Wait. Do you disagree with Jesus?
No, because Jesus lived in the time of that.
You agree?
The Israelites in Egypt.
So you agree with Jesus?
It applied to Jesus, is what I'm saying.
Wait, do you agree with Jesus?
In what context?
Like, do you always agree with Jesus' teachings?
Yes.
Well, Jesus teaches that the old law will not be destroyed until the heaven and the earth are gone.
Yes, but that applied to the people.
That's fine. That's fine. That's fine. It applies. That's fine. That's fine. It applies to them. God supports these things.
And then when he died,
that's fine.
That's fine. The laws is what I'm trying to say.
How do you fulfill? You're telling me Jesus fulfilled every single Old Testament law?
Yes.
So the Old Testament law that says to stone. Okay.
Can I give an example of how I fulfilled one?
Well, hold on. You said that Jesus fulfilled every single Old Testament law. So one of those laws
613 laws. Yes, he fulfilled.
Yeah, okay. Well, one of those laws is to stone your children to death for worshiping other gods. So you're saying Jesus fulfilled that? That Jesus did that?
He did not do it, but he died for our sins.
Well, then he didn't fulfill it.
That is the thing. He died for our sins. He fulfilled every single one of those laws when he died.
So what? That is irrelevant. Jesus says not one bit of the Old Testament writings will be destroyed until the earth is gone.
Yes, it's not destroyed,
and he says
it doesn't apply to us.
It does. It does because
are still
it does,
written, but they no longer apply.
It does apply to you because Jesus says that whoever disobeys these laws will be the least important person in heaven. So if you care about being important in heaven, Jesus says every person should obey.
Every person is important in heaven. Jesus told us to love thy neighbor as they love thyself. How does that make you less important than me?
Your little zombie Jesus guy says that you should obey every old law. He says a person should obey.
Jesus contradicts himself, is what you're saying.
Jesus never said not to obey the law. I don't know where you're getting this from. Jesus says every person
love thy neighbor like he loves thyself. Why would he say that a person is less important in heaven, is what I'm trying to say.
Jesus says you must hate your children in order to follow him. In Luke 14:26, you have to be willing to hate your entire family, your wife, your husband, your brother, your children, even hate your own life if you're going to be worthy of being his disciple. So you're going to sit there and say Jesus says to love one another?
He's saying you shouldn't idol them above him.
No, he says to hate them. He says you must hate them.
The Bible uses metaphor all the time.
Okay, so when Jesus says love one another, is that a metaphor?
I didn't say like every single thing Jesus says is metaphor.
Wait, I'm going to point out how conveniently hypocritical you're being here. When Jesus says to love one another, is that literal or hypocritical? Or is that literal?
Yes, that's literal.
Oh, how convenient. When Jesus says to love one another, that's literal. But when Jesus says to hate your kids, oh, that's a metaphor. He didn't really mean that. He's not saying to hate
your kids. He's saying not to put them above Jesus.
Read it. Read Luke 14:26. Anyone who comes to me and does not hate their kids, their father, their brother, their sister, their spouse, yes, even hate your own life, you will not be worthy of being my disciple.
Because you should not put anything above him, is what he's trying to say.
Now listen,
that's the point
you keep saying that the old law doesn't apply to you, right? But Jesus says a person should obey every command in the old law, even one that does not seem important. Whoever refuses to obey any command and teaches others not to obey it will be the least important in God's kingdom.
But he fulfilled these laws.
It doesn't matter. God says you should obey them. Jesus says you should obey them. Jesus says anyone who
then they were fulfilled.
Read verse 19. Read Matthew 5:19, please.
I'm gonna have to do some flipping.
This is so fucking frustrating. But he fulfilled it. But he fulfilled it. But New Testament, New Covenant, New Testament.
Tattoos are no longer a
Jesus
sin,
died for our sins. He fulfilled it. He fulfilled it.
Before
Read
Jesus
19.
died, tattoos were a sin. Our tattoos
Read 19.
now, no, he fulfilled
Read 19.
the law.
Read 19. Matthew 5:19. It says, "A person should obey every command in the law, even one that does not seem important. Whoever refuses to obey any command and teaches others not to obey it will be the least important in God's kingdom."
So you're basically saying
Jesus himself. No, Jesus never said not to obey it. I don't know where you're getting this from. How is this a contradiction?
You're saying that Jesus said that if you don't obey the laws, you will be least important in heaven. That's what you said, correct?
That's what Jesus says, yes.
Then why would Jesus also say to love thy neighbor as you love thyself?
What does that have to do with the Old Testament writings? I have no idea what does love one another even have to do with the conversation? Jesus says Jesus says to love one another. Jesus says to love one another. Fine.
Exactly.
Who cares? Fine. Who cares?
We're all the same. Would you not agree with that? That we're all the same morally?
Sure. Okay, fine. But Jesus also says that you should obey every command in the old law.
Yes, before he died.
No, he didn't say that. He said you should obey.
Apply to us.
He said you should obey every old law until the heaven and the earth are gone.
But then he fulfilled the laws.
You can keep saying that, but it doesn't mean anything.
Israelites in that context.
Why are you disagreeing with Jesus?
I'm not disagreeing with Jesus.
Okay, Jesus says you should obey every command in the old law.
Yes, to the people of the time before he died.
That's fine. So God supports slavery, rape, and murder, and Jesus says that you should obey those. Not you, but the people of back then or whatever should obey those laws. When God says that you're allowed to have slaves and own them for life, Jesus says you should obey that law. When God says that when God commands you to capture women in war and force them to be your wives, Jesus is saying you should obey that old law if you want to be important in heaven. When God commands,
can we talk about the Deuteronomy part that you were talking about, the last person?
About capturing a woman in battle?
Yeah.
Yeah, what do you want to talk about it?
Here, wait, let me go to that. It's chapter 21, right?
Yeah, verse 10 through 14.
All right. So, do you have the English Standard Version of the Bible? Correct.
It doesn't matter what translation or version. They all say that you can capture a woman if you think she's beautiful and take her to your house and let her cry for her dead parents for 30 days, and then you can force her to be your wife.
Well, it actually doesn't say that if you find a woman beautiful in battle and you can just take her. It says among the captives if you find one beautiful.
Yeah, she's been captured.
Yes. So
yes,
what I'm trying to say is that every
you can take her against her will. She's been captured.
But what I'm saying is among all of the captives.
Yes.
Like not all of them are just female.
Yes, you capture people. You capture them. And then among the people that have been captured, you might see a woman who is beautiful. And
Correct.
You can force her to be your wife. That's what I said.
See, that's where I disagree at the forcing part.
Where did she consent? She's been captured. She's been captured and taken away. Where is the consent?
I'm not disagreeing that she did not consent to being captured. She's been captured. We can agree on that. She's been captured.
Can she leave this man's house? Can she leave this man's house?
If the man agrees to it.
Right. So she can't leave, can she? She's being held there forcefully against her will.
It says, but if you no longer delight in her, you shall let her go where she wants. You should let her
go. Yes, set her free, which implies that she is not free to go. She is there. She's being held in this man's house forcefully against her will. And then he makes her his wife. There's no consent there. Nothing consensual about that. This woman has been captured, and a guy sees her and thinks she's beautiful, takes her to his house where she's held there forcefully and cuts her nails so that she can't defend herself, so she can't scratch him. And then after 30 days, he goes into her and makes her his wife. That's rape.
He didn't go into her prior to making her a wife, is what I'm saying.
It says after 30 days, you can go into her and then she will be your wife. And if you are not pleased with her...
That is contradictory to the Bible because it says you have to be married.
Oh, well, yeah, the Bible's full of contradictions. It says you can go into her and then she will be your wife. If you are not pleased with her and choose to divorce her, set her free. You cannot sell her. You had sexual relations with her, so you must not treat her like a slave.
It does not say anything about sexual relations.
Read it. What does verse 14 say?
But if you no longer delight in her, you shall let her go where she wants. I do not see any of the words sexual relations.
Keep going. You stopped.
But you shall not sell her for money, nor shall you treat her as a slave as you have humiliated her.
Yeah, mine says sexual relations. That's what the humiliation talks about. If you are not pleased with her and choose to divorce her, set her free. You cannot sell her. You had sexual relations with her, so you must not treat her like a slave.
See, mine says nothing about divorce.
What? Okay, what translation are you reading?
Just English Standard Version.
The ESV?
Yeah.
Okay, let me go to it so I can see exactly what you're reading. But if you no longer delight in her, you shall let her go where she wants, but you shall not sell her for money, nor shall you treat her as a slave, since you have humiliated her. I guess you could say where mine talks about divorce, it would be, but you shall not sell her for money, nor shall you treat her as a slave, since you have.
Yeah, see, that's where I was getting the part that says you shall not treat her as a slave. That's where like the consent thing kind of
no, because she's been captured. It's your translation still says that she's been captured.
Yes, correct.
And that you can go into her and be her husband, and she shall be your wife, and she's not free to go.
But she must accept to the vows.
No, it doesn't say that.
That's how a marriage works. And
yeah, but there's no consent here. She's not free. Is she free to go?
If the person no longer delights in her,
right? So
she still does have a say because it says you shall not treat her as a slave.
If you're not pleased with her, if you choose to let her go, you shall not treat her as a slave. But she's not free to go. She's being held in this man's house against her will, forcefully. And if she's being held forcefully against her will, then when she's married, she's also being married forcefully against her will. Because if she was free to go, she could say, no, I don't want to be married, and she would be free to go. But she's not free to go. So if they get married, that's against her will.
I see what you're saying.
And
I feel like this chapter does need more context.
What's the context? Are you saying that there's like justification for this? That there's going to be a verse that cancels this out, or you're going to find a verse that justifies marrying
obviously,
a woman
I don't know the
that
whole
you've
Bible
captured?
front to back, every verse. Word
I don't
for
claim
word,
to know the entire thing. I don't claim to know the entire thing either.
But like, I'm not saying like I have no like.
I'm just reading I'm reading it from an unbiased position. I'm not a believer. I don't have the Holy Spirit. I don't believe in this God. I'm just reading it. I'm just reading what it says. And this is about marrying a woman that you've captured. And in my morality, my framework, my worldview, that is wrong. That is wrong to capture a woman and force her to be your wife. She's not free to go. So you're holding her captive in your house for a full month. And then only until you're done with her is she allowed to go free if you're tired of her. Do you think that's good or wrong?
I do think that's morally wrong, but like I said,
really? So you disagree with
let's
God?
talk about moral laws that were fulfilled when Jesus died. I know you don't agree with the part that.
Wait, so why do you disagree? Why do you disagree with God?
I'm saying that these are moral laws that have been fulfilled, is what I'm trying to say.
No, Jesus says you should still obey these laws. Jesus says you should obey these old laws, and if you don't, you're going to be the least important person in heaven.
Prior to his death.
Fine, whatever. Jesus says not one bit of these old laws will be destroyed until the earth and the heaven and the earth are gone.
Yes, they will not be destroyed.
Yes, and they should still be followed.
But they don't apply to us.
Yes, they do, because are the heaven and the earth gone?
No, but he was talking to the Israelites.
If the heaven and the earth are gone, then whatever Jesus says to follow the Old Testament law, then that still applies, because the heaven and the earth aren't gone.
But he was talking to the Israelites in that text.
Fine. There's still Israelites today. Are there people not living in Israel today?
No longer Israelites. Of that time period, no.
Okay, well, it sounds like you're agreeing with me that God does support these things.
No, I'm not.
Really? So God doesn't support you to go and capture a woman and grape her?
Like
we just read it. We just read it, and we just agreed. We just read it, and you agreed that that's morally wrong, and that it is grape. Right?
No, I don't.
You just said that this was morally wrong, and that you would consider that to be grape.
I didn't say I considered it to be grape. I said that I
morally
thought that the capturing itself was wrong.
Oh, really? So let's
I don't
use your
believe in
let's
war
use
in
your mother.
general. Like I don't believe in capturing anybody in
Let's
battle.
use your mother for example. If if your mother was in a village that was
Well, now you're putting personal ties on things, which you said earlier. Your personal experience is not valid in this discussion.
Well, personal testimonies about like your relationship with a magical being is, I don't care about that. But why don't you want to put your mother in this scenario?
Hypothetical.
Oh, so like if this was your mother in the story, has your mother been captured and raped?
You're putting personal perspective.
Has your mother? If we put your mother in this spot of this woman, are you going to still say no? My mom hasn't been raped.
Again, you're putting personal perspective in this.
Can you answer the question?
No, because you're putting personal perspective in.
So has your mother been raped at that point?
You're putting personal perspective in.
If somebody sees your mother in war and desires her because she's beautiful and among the captives and takes her to his house, where he forces her to stay there for 30 days and your mom cries over your dead grandparents for 30 days, and then he goes into her and makes her his wife, at that point, has your mother been captured and raped?
You're putting personal perspective on this.
You don't want to answer that, do you now? You don't want to answer that because when it comes to this is actually pathetic, Jackson, because when it comes to your mother, that's great, right? Definitely. And it would be kind of sick if you said no. That would be really sick if you said, no, my mother has not been raped, if she's been captured and forced to be somebody's wife.
You're putting me in a lose-lose situation no matter what I say.
It is a lose-lose situation because it is grape. It is
what I'm
grape.
saying is you didn't want to hear my personal perspective about why I believed in God. So why would I give you
I don't want to hear
hypothetical?
I don't want to hear a personal testimony. Like you saying, I believe in God because
this is a personal testimony.
No, it's not a testimony. This is not a testimony. It's a hypothetical. There's a difference.
But it's still what I would do in the situation, which is a testimony.
You are being so disingenuous right now. You know that is not what I'm doing here. That you know that there's a difference between somebody not wanting to hear a personal testimony as opposed to asking somebody hypothetical.
Because it is a personal testimony. It's what I would do in the situation.
It's not a personal testimony. And the fact that you have not said no is pretty disgusting. The fact that you have not said no, my mother has not been raped, or I'm sorry, the fact that you have not said yes. The fact that you have not said, yes, of course, my mother has been raped in that scenario is pretty disgusting because it's obvious that if I use your mother in this scenario, it's great. But if I take your mother out, you're going to sit there and say, well, it's not grape.
I never said that.
Okay, let me ask you. Let's start over. Is this grape? Is this grape?
I don't believe so.
Okay, let's use your mother. If I put your mother in that same spot, is that grape?
Can I read the text one more time?
Oh my God. Yeah, go ahead and read it. Read it out loud.
Oh, you want me to read it all out?
Yeah, read it out loud so we can hear it.
Okay. And you bring her home to your house. She shall shave her head and pare her nails. And she shall take off the clothes in which she was captured and shall remain in your house and lament her father and her mother for a full month. After that you may go in her and be her husband, and she shall be your wife. But if you no longer delight in her, you shall let her go where she wants. You shall not sell her for money, nor shall you treat her as a slave, since you have humiliated her.
Yeah, so if that happened to your mother, has your mother been raped in that scenario?
Like I said, these moral laws have been fulfilled. They no longer apply.
Come on, Jackson. Has your mother been raped or not in that scenario?
You're putting personal perspective on it.
All right. I got people waiting, and you're not going to engage honestly. So if you're not going to engage honestly with the conversation, then I'm just going to move on. When it came to his mother, he didn't want to answer it, right? But when his mother wasn't in the scenario, he was going to sit there and say it's not grape.
Hello?
Yeah.
Get out of here, demon.
Hello?
Demon. I don't talk to demons. You got to be 18 plus, guys. Make sure you're 18 plus. Hello?
Yo, hello.
How old are you?
18.
What's a W-2?
Hmm?
Oh, I'm about to go.
How old are you?
32.
All right. Are you a Christian?
I am, heavily.
All right. What do you got for us?
Okay, so I just want you to prove to me how Jesus is Satan. I just don't understand. You say, is that what you're saying? Or let me understand what you're saying. Okay, cool.
No, I never said that.
Okay.
I don't believe in Satan or Jesus or God.
Okay. I'm not trying to convert you, so I guess I was just reading your post and it said that Christianity supports the following: rape, and murder. So let me ask you, when did Jesus approve of those things? Because Jesus came in the New Testament, so that's why I'm just confused that way. Can you show?
Well, are you there?
Yep.
Are you there? Okay. Is Jesus God?
Yes.
Okay. If Jesus is God, then that means he's God of the entire Bible, right?
So let me answer that in specifics, because there's a particular Bible verse. It says the Father, the Son are the same.
I'm not trying to have a Trinity discussion. I'm not.
No. You asking me? Well, that's God. You asking me?
I just want to know if Jesus is God of the entire Bible.
Yes. So yes.
So that includes the Old Testament.
But so let me ask you. So when they particularly asked Jesus about divorce, he went to the Old Testament and said, "Hey, Moses did it. I don't approve of divorce." So okay,
can you just pick a topic?
No. I'm simulating the same. So that means Jesus countered what they did in the Old Testament.
Can we just discuss a topic? Could you just pick a topic?
That's
like slavery.
That's the topic. Hold on.
The topic of the discussion is, does Christianity support the following? So start with slavery.
Hold on, wait. You just asked me, was Jesus God? And I'm about to give you why I say Jesus is God.
Because you said, show me where Jesus supports these things. So I asked you, is Jesus God?
Yeah. So you said go to the Old Testament, and I'm telling you.
Okay. So let's. You want to start with slavery, rape, or murder?
I'm going to the Old Testament to say that Jesus counted the Old Testament.
I don't care. I don't care about that. I want to talk about.
I'm showing the logic of if you say Jesus is God, right? And
you said that.
Yes, you asked me that, and I said yes. So I'm showing you, even though.
Do you know why I asked you that? Do you know why I asked you that? Do you know why I asked you that?
If Jesus was God, he would not have countered the Old Testament. He's saying in that time, that's how that was in that time. This time is new. I'm telling you,
Jesus says not one bit of the Old Testament writings will be destroyed until the heaven and the earth are gone, and that every person should obey every command of the old law if you want to be important in the kingdom of heaven.
Okay, can I give you Matthew 20? Let me actually bring my Bible out, because when they was referring
can we just start with one of these topics, please?
Can I just ask you, did Jesus never counter or go back on his word when he referred to the Old Testament? That would make more sense than to telling you, even though he's God, he's saying those were the rules at that time. These are the rules now. How does that not make sense?
Because your God doesn't change. Your God never changes.
No, it says it in the Bible.
But God doesn't change. So if God supports slavery, rape, and murder back then he still supports it now. If God thinks that those things are morally permissible back then.
So do you think God supports Noah having sex when Noah got drunk and had sex? I'm simulating it. I'm simulating it. Let me just simulate. Let me make the point and then counter the point if you disagree. Just don't cut me out before I make my point.
What topic are we discussing here? Are we talking slavery, rape, or murder? Which one?
You said, "Are Jesus is God?" and I said, "Hey, show me where does Jesus supports rape, murder, and slavery."
Sure. Leviticus 25, 44 through 46 for slavery. Grape could be Deuteronomy 21, 10 through 14. Exodus 21, 7, you can sell your daughter as a sex slave. Murder, God commands, in 1 Samuel 15, 3, God commanded King Saul to go and destroy all the Amalekite babies. And in Deuteronomy 13, 6, God commands you to stone your children to death if they worship other gods.
Let me give you an example. When King David slaughtered all those enemies, God gave him the authority to do it.
God commanded King Saul to kill Amalekite babies.
Right, so killing is a part of,
that's murder.
It was great. Yes, so of course murder happens today.
So we agree God supports murder. We agree.
No, so is self-defense murder?
No.
Okay, so you can murder in self-defense, but you just said, hold on now.
Hold on. I'm talking about the babies, sir. I'm talking about when God killed the babies.
Bro, okay.
My issue is with the Amalekite children, sir.
So let me give you killing babies. When
is that murder?
Yes.
God supports murder. God supports murder because God commanded.
Can I respond?
Well, we agree though. We agree on that topic now.
Yeah, yes. If you have
it
people,
says join if you disagree. It says join if you disagree.
No, because it's the type of murder you're advertising in a satanic form of murder versus a self-defense fight. You have to fight for your land.
Listen.
United States
I need you to calm down. I need you to just take a deep breath and relax.
I'm responding to what you're saying. I apologize if my tone is loud. I'm just responding.
No. It's just calm down. Take a deep breath.
I'm calm.
Is killing babies murder?
Yes, killing babies is murder.
Okay. Did God command King Saul to go and kill the Amalekite babies?
That's what the scripture says. Can I respond now? Can I respond?
I got one more question. I got one more question. I got one more question.
Can I respond?
Premise one. Killing babies is murder. You agree with that?
You just asked me the same question 2 or 3 times, and I said killing babies.
Premise. I'm trying to run a syllogism on you. I'm trying to run a syllogism. Premise one, killing babies is murder. Yes. Premise 2, God killed babies. Yes. Conclusion.
Okay, yes,
God supports murder.
Okay, can I respond now?
Yes.
Can I uninterruptedly respond?
Yes. As long as you disagree. No, if you agree with me.
Okay, so let me ask
you. If you agree, nobody wants to sit here and listen to us talk about something we agree on.
No. I can't even respond, brother. I literally can't even respond. You interrupting everything I say. It's like you're not open for discussion. You're just open to kind of talk down.
But you're agreeing with me, sir.
Sir, you asked me one question, I'll answer, and I'm about to give you my response. So it's just not.
Okay.
Hey, if I just sit on your pod and I just say, hey, let me ask you a question.
Go ahead.
Okay, perfect. When God when God told Moses, I'm going to free your people and get you away from those Israelites because they was enslaving, doing all these wrong things that you're saying that God support, he told the Egyptians, I'm going to kill all your firstborn. Now, does God support murder? Does he support people being enslaved and being whipped to death to build pyramids? What logic are you coming from?
God supports those things. Yes,
he defended those things and gave them their own land.
When I say God supports murder, it's because God committed murder. God commanded babies to be killed, which you agree is murder. So therefore, God supports murder.
God gave Pharaoh opportunity to turn around. First of all,
I'm talking about 1 Samuel 3, sir. 1 Samuel 15:3.
I'm talking about any aspect of murder you can use toward your point. God murdered those Egyptians, so I'm telling you, God murdered.
God supports murder. Yes.
If God supports defending His people, if people have to be murdered in that process, it has to happen. But God is God.
So killing babies is self-defense.
If the firstborn of every Egyptian is going to learn by their authoritarians what to do towards these people that didn't do nothing but be born, God does not support slavery because He would not have freed those Israelites.
God doesn't support slavery?
He freed Israelites from people trying to. Do you know the Bible?
Okay. Did God tell
you obviously do not know the Bible, sir. You do not know the Bible. You're just countering the Bible.
Did God tell the Israelites that they're allowed to own non-Israelites as slaves for life?
Gentiles.
Did God tell the Israelites that they're allowed to own foreigners as slaves for life? Are you there? Are you there? Guerrilla warfare, are you there? His microphone cut out, I think. We can't hear you. I don't know what you did, but we cannot hear you. All right, I don't know what happened. Maybe he got a phone call or something. Keep tapping those likes, everybody. I appreciate you, everybody, being here. And make sure you're following. And if you want to watch the full live streams, go subscribe to my YouTube. The link's in the bio, guys. Hello?
Yeah.
Hey, what's up?
Well, not much.
How old are you?
27.
All right. Would you like to start the conversation?
All right. Let's talk about the third one. Because in the Old Testament, I believe it's the fifth one, thou shalt not kill.
Okay. God commands that you stone your children to death for worshiping other gods. Would you consider that murder?
No.
No, it wouldn't be murder to stone children to death for not having the same belief system as you?
No. I don't think so.
That's pretty sick. As a Christian, is religious discrimination wrong?
What's that?
As a Christian, is religious discrimination wrong?
As far as what? Like, example.
Is it wrong to discriminate against people because of their religion?
Well, I mean, Christians get discriminated all the time, so...
Can you just answer the question? Is religious discrimination wrong?
Yeah, it is, but it happens.
Okay, so it's wrong, right? So would you consider killing somebody for worshiping other gods? Would you consider that religious discrimination?
I would say, if God commands it, I would say no.
So you're one of those people that, like, basically every command from God is good and righteous, right?
Yes, because he is.
So would you always follow every command from God?
I would. I try to.
So if God revealed himself to you in a way that you were absolutely certain that it was him and commanded you to go to your neighbor's house and kill their baby, you would follow that command?
Yeah, I would.
If God revealed himself to you and commanded you to go and capture young virgin girls, like in Numbers 31, 17 through 18, you would do that?
I would.
You would, you would go and capture a young virgin girl?
If the true God told me to, yeah, I would.
You would stone your children to death for worshiping other gods?
Yes, if he told me to.
Do you have children?
No, I don't.
Thank God. Because all it would take is for all it would take is for you to hear one little voice in your head, and your children would be in danger. Your neighbors' children are in danger. Actually, you are dangerous. You are a dangerous person to society. Actually, because all it would take for you is to hear a little voice in your head that you're convinced is God telling you to harm somebody, and you would go and harm someone.
Nah.
No.
No.
You just said that you would do all those things.
What I said. I mean,
so I want to push this even further. Like, let's talk about something that's not even biblical. I'll give you some, like, I'm going to ask you some biblical, like, all those questions I asked you, those were biblical. Like, when I asked you if you would go and kill your neighbor's baby, that's actually biblical. In 1 Samuel 15:3, God commanded King Saul to go and kill the neighboring Amalekite babies. I asked you if you would capture a young virgin girl. That's all biblical, right? So
yes,
those are things that, so like, let me ask you something that's not biblical. Would you, if God came down and commanded you to grape your own mother, would you grape your mother?
No, because it says in Leviticus not to do that.
But you said you would follow every command from God.
Yes, but God wouldn't go against himself.
Okay, so it has to be biblical.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So let me think of another crazy shit in the Bible. That's pretty sick. So like, you would capture a woman in battle if you thought she was beautiful and force her to be your wife?
Depends if I'm told to by God. I mean,
yeah, well, God commands it in Deuteronomy 21, 10 through 14.
True. I mean, those times are different though, so you got to look at that.
Bro, you are so dangerous. Who is this guy? The truth will surface. Jesus. He left. He left because he knew I was looking. He knew I was looking at his bio, and he left. As soon as I started looking at his bio, he booked it. Who is this guy? God, man, these people are dangerous. Hello?
Hello.
How old are you?
I'm 18.
Okay. What's a W-2?
Tax form.
All right, good job. What do you want? What do you want to talk about?
Let's talk about about Christianity supporting grape.
Okay. If somebody saw your mother in battle and captured your mother because he thought she was beautiful and he wanted to make her his wife, so he captures her and takes her to his house and lets her cry over her dead parents for 30 days, the parents that you've just killed. And after 30 days of her crying for her dead parents, you go into her and force her to be your wife. At that point, has your mother been captured and graped?
I would say no. No, honestly, I would say no, because here the grieving period, the 30-day period is the point after battle which it's permissible, and God allows this.
So because the guy waits 30 days, it's not grape.
I'm not. And here's the thing you need to understand about the Bible, because I don't know how much you've read. As you know, claiming you're not a Christian, I don't know if you've read all of the Bible. But what?
So are you saying because the guy waited 30 days that that's not grape?
That's not what I'm saying.
So what's your point here when you said 30 days? What's your point?
My point here is all of that wording in the Bible is saying what God intended to happen. Therefore, if God intended something
God
to
says
happen,
you're allowed to capture a woman in battle and forcefully take her to your house where she is not free to go. She's held there against her will, and she can cry for her dead parents for 30 days, and then you cut off her nails so that she can't scratch you and defend herself. Cut off her hair, cut her clothes off, and then after 30 days of crying, you can go into her and force her to be your wife. And you're telling me if that happened to your mother, that your mother has not been raped.
This is what you're not understanding about the Bible, is that at one time, things that were permissible with all these topics, I've been on the live for a while watching you debate all three of the topics on the screen. And the thing you're not understanding is that after Jesus' death for the people, for God's people, Preach mode. All of these things that
preach mode activated
after Jesus died are not the same anymore. That's why we have different societal.
What does Jesus say about the Old Testament law? What's he say?
The Old Testament law. So basically,
does Jesus say you should obey every command in the old law?
Yes.
Okay, so what's your point? What are you talking about here?
My point is, you're saying he's supporting all this like stoning now, and then you're trying to use real current examples where he's not permitting stoning of my next door neighbor currently. But
did Jesus say you should obey every command in the old law?
Yes, but you're
okay. And one of those old laws is stoning your children and your family to death for worshiping other gods. And what does Jesus say you should do?
That's also idolatry.
What does Jesus say you should do? What does Jesus say? What does Jesus say you should do?
The Ten Commandments is the basis of Christianity.
What does Jesus say you should do? Obey every command in the old law?
Jesus, the rules are not the same.
Did Jesus say you should obey every command in the old law? Yes. Are one of those old laws to stone your family to death for worshiping other gods? Yes. So what does Jesus say you should do?
That it's after his death. The time has passed. He no longer. That is no.
Jesus says not one bit of the old law will be destroyed until the heaven and the earth are gone. Is the earth gone, sir?
We are in the New Testament now.
Preach mode. Preach mode. It's like talking to an NPC. It's like literally talking to an NPC. But Jesus, though. But New Testament. But New Covenant. But hey, thanks, Days. Thank you so much, Days. I really appreciate that, man. W Days, guys. Are you there, Boston?
Yeah.
So Jesus says you should obey every command in the old law, right?
True.
One of those old laws is to stone your kids and family to get to death for worshiping other gods. So Jesus wants you to obey that law. And Jesus says if you don't obey those laws, you'll be the least important person in the kingdom of heaven. So if you care about being the most important person in heaven, then you better obey those old laws.
That no one will be the most important person in heaven. Have you read the Bible?
A person should obey every command in the law, even one that does not seem important. Whoever refuses to obey any command and teaches others not to obey it will be the least important in God's kingdom. But whoever obeys the law and teaches others to obey it will be great in God's kingdom.
True, but that is not what that is saying. I know it appears.
Oh, so words just don't mean what they say now?
No,
words don't mean what they say now?
I understand.
You guys hear that? Words don't actually mean what they say.
That's not what I'm saying. That's a red herring, what you're doing right there. And you've also been doing a straw man logical fallacy this entire live.
What fallacy? What fallacy? What's fallacy?
A straw man.
What have I straw manned?
You are constantly on here. Multiple Christians that I've seen come on.
What have I straw manned?
You set up arguments for them. A straw man logical fallacy is setting up an argument.
No, what have I straw manned?
Twisting the words, everything. Just the last guy that was on here, Gorilla.
Give me an example. Give me
Gorilla was telling you exactly the rules.
Give me an example. Give me a specific example of how I straw manned him.
I'm telling you right now. When he was telling you about the Old Testament and the New Testament, same thing I'm trying to get through to you on. You set up and said, "Oh no, but Jesus supported this in Deuteronomy." And
wait, how did I straw man him?
Because that's not what he was saying at all. You're trying to set up these arguments that nobody is actually
So
saying.
tell me specifically what I did that strawmanned him.
I just explained it to you.
You didn't. I don't think you know what strawman is because you didn't.
I just told you exactly what you did.
Yeah, but what I did there was not a strawman.
All right, whatever.
I don't think you know what a strawman is. And actually, is strawman, is that a fallacy? I don't even think strawman is a fallacy. I mean, it's just where you like take somebody, you take what somebody said and you try to say that what they said, but that's not what they really said. But
that's exactly what you're doing.
Tell me more specifically what I did to strawman anything that the last guy said.
Just everybody on this live. There's multiple people.
If I did it so much, give me any specific example where I strawman somebody.
I just told you how.
What you just described that I did was not a strawman.
What part of it is not? What part of it is not?
All of it.
How is you not twisting what he said about the Old and New Testament into? It's trying to say that he did say that, but you totally just ignored the fact and
ignoring what somebody says is not a strawman.
I know that, but I'm saying you set him up and then proceed to redirect the conversation.
That's not a straw man either. That's not a straw man.
Yes, but you're also doing red herrings.
That's not a straw man.
No, I'm just saying.
All right. Listen. Stop crying. Stop complaining. Stop whining, and let's have a discussion. Right? I asked you at that point, has your mother been raped? You said no. So if somebody captures your mother and forcefully takes her away and forcefully takes her to this man's house and then forces her to be his wife, you're saying that you're going to show up at the wedding all happy. Hey, mom. Hey, new stepdaddy that captured my mom and forced her to be my wife. I'm happy to be here at this lovely wedding, this consensual wedding.
Not in today's time, no.
Wait, so it wasn't great. Are you saying it was great back then, but it's not great now? Is that what you're saying?
Vice versa.
It's great now, but it wasn't great back then.
Correct.
Oh, so like if I capture a woman and take her to my house and force her to be my wife, that's grape, right?
100%, yes.
But if I do it 2,000 years ago, it's not grape?
Under the law and word of God.
If I do it 2,000 years ago, is it grape?
Under the law of God, no.
So does the law of God ever change?
Yes.
So God changes?
God himself does not change.
So if God doesn't change, then how does the law change? Is God's law perfect?
God's law is perfect.
So then why would it change? If God's law was perfect, if God's law was perfect, why would it change? Why would it need to change?
Because we change. I
didn't ask you about us. I asked you about God's law. If God's law is perfect,
God's law has to change because none of us are perfect enough to.
So God changes what he thinks are good and bad around what we do?
No, I'm not saying around what we do. I'm saying to the societal norms that go on in the time, God then changes his view on what we need to be doing as a society.
Does God's morality ever change?
No.
So if God says it's morally permissible to capture a woman and force her to be your wife, that means it was morally permissible for always, right?
If it's morally permissible, then yes.
Yeah, so God's morality never changes, and God says in Deuteronomy 21, 10 through 14, God says it's morally permissible to capture a woman and force her to be your wife. That means that if that's morally permissible to him back then it's still morally permissible now.
But he doesn't,
because God's morality doesn't change.
He doesn't say morally permissible though.
God says you're allowed to do this.
He says you are allowed to, verbatim.
Yes, there's an entire list of things that God says you're not allowed to do. He could have put that on that list, but he didn't. He put it on the list of things that you're allowed to do, things that he supports you doing, things that he condones you doing, because in his eyes, they are moral. If it wasn't moral, he wouldn't want you to do it. If it was immoral, he would have put it on the list of things that are immoral, and he doesn't want you to do. He didn't put slavery on that list. He put slavery on the list of things that you're morally allowed to do. He put capturing in women and forcing them to be your wives. He put that also on the list of things that you're morally allowed to do. And he put murder on that list as well, because you're allowed to go and stone your family to death for worshiping other gods, which that's murder. That's religious discrimination.
Yeah, so religious discrimination, though, is not necessarily a bad thing. Like in today's culture, we would classify it as that, but we are called to evangelize as Christians. That is our goal, to get everyone to know God, the true Lord, for who he is. And the religious discrimination, now I'm not saying...
Preach mode.
This is so leftist tactic of you to just talk...
What? Bro, I'm not a leftist. I'm not a leftist.
You're not hearing me out. You're just... All you're doing is talking over and trying to put yourself in a position of power.
Because you're just preaching, bro. You're just preaching.
I'm not even talking about just Christianity. I'm not preaching about the Lord. I'm preaching about all religions. I'm saying...
Well, it looks like we've come to the end of the conversation about grape. I think it's grape. You said it wasn't. I used your mother for an example, and you said, no, my mother hasn't been graped. You said if somebody captures your mother and forces her to be his wife, that she has not been graped. That she somehow consented to being captured and consented to being forced to be married.
If it is God's will, it is not. If it is God's will, it is not.
Oh, okay. So, like the last guy, would you always obey every command from God?
If it was in the Bible, and yes, like if it coincided with God's word, then yes.
Okay, so like in 1 Samuel 15:3, God ordered King Saul to go into the neighboring Amalekites and kill their babies.
Right.
So if God revealed himself to you in a way that you were absolutely certain that it was him and commanded you to go to your neighbor's house and kill their babies, you would follow that command?
If God commanded it, yes, I would.
Okay, so God commanded his soldiers to capture young virgin girls in Numbers 31. Do you follow that command too?
I would if God commanded it and God willing. And anything that God has commanded in these scenarios that you're referencing, there was prior provocation before. God never does something. God would never have me go next door and kill my neighbor's baby unprovoked for no reason, just because. God always has a reason.
So if God was like, hey, your neighbors are my enemies, I want you to go kill their baby. I want you to go chop their baby's head off with a sword. You would do it?
If they were doing some type of live like you're doing and spreading propaganda and he had me do that,
whoa,
maybe.
You would go and kill my baby if God commanded you to?
That. I never said that.
Well, obviously, would God consider me to be his enemy?
No.
No?
God would not consider
so
you to be
you
his
said
enemy.
if it was somebody doing a live like this, you would go kill their baby? Is that what you said?
No, I said if God commanded me to, and it was something...
Yeah, so if somebody was doing a live stream like this and God commanded you to go kill their baby, you would do it?
Only if it coincided with God's word.
So, like, if God revealed himself to you and said, hey, this guy Skits on this live stream, he's blaspheming me, he's my enemy, go and kill his baby?
No, not over a conversation, no.
Well, so you would disobey God's command?
I would not disobey God's command. There's a line drawn between God's command and a coincidental conversation on a live.
So if God commanded you to kill my baby, you would do it?
If God, you're saying all this, same thing with the guy before, Jesus is king. You're saying that a little voice told him this. There in the Bible, there's actual...
If God commanded you to kill my baby, would you do it?
Me personally, I would go to jail if I killed your baby.
If God commanded you to kill my baby, would you do it?
No, I would not.
So you would disobey God's command?
I would not disobey a command directly from God.
Okay, if God gave you a direct command to kill my baby, would you do it?
But the thing is, with God's command, it would be something that would have to happen through me.
If God gave you a direct command through you and commanded you to kill my baby, would you do it?
God would not need to work through me for that.
I didn't ask you that. If God commanded you to kill my baby, would you do it?
That is unbiblical. He would not command me to do that.
It's not. God commands people to kill babies all the time. That is biblical. In 1 Samuel 15:3, God commanded King Saul to go to the Amalekites and kill their babies. So because they were his enemies. So if God revealed himself to you and said, this guy Skits, this is my enemy, I'm commanding you to go kill his baby.
And God can do what he wants because
would you do it? Would you follow God's command to kill my baby?
He is the creator.
Would you follow God's command to kill my baby?
If someone opposes God and
preach mode,
do as he sees fit.
Preach mode.
God doesn't need me to take out babies. God can take out
preach mode activated.
On his own.
The fact that you have not immediately said no, I would not kill your baby if God commanded me to, is fucking insane. You could have just easily said no. I would not kill your child. If I heard a voice in my head, if I heard God revealed himself to me, and this magical spirit zombie dude told me to harm your infant, I would tell him no. You could have easily said no. You didn't do that. You fucking gish galloped for about 5 minutes trying to avoid the question. You could have just said no. Go take a long look in the mirror and think about how long it took you to not answer the question of somebody saying, would you kill my child? Somebody literally just asked you today, right now, sir, somebody asked you if you would kill my child, if you would kill their child. It took you 5 minutes to not answer the question. You still have not answered the question. Go and take a long look. Go and take a long look in the mirror. Go take a long look in the mirror.
Nobody cares about your life, bro. Nobody cares.
Yeah, he realizes how fucking disgusting he is. I dropped some knowledge on him right there. Go and take a long look in the mirror and think about what this religion has done to you. Think about what this book has done to your morality, to your humanity. Take a long look in the mirror and ask yourself, holy shit, that guy asked me if I would kill his baby and I didn't say no. That guy asked me if I would harm his infant child and I didn't tell him no. I didn't answer the question. Scary. That's fucking scary. Keep tapping those likes, everybody. Spam those likes. If you want to go back and watch the full live stream, click my bio on the YouTube on my bio and subscribe to my YouTube, guys.
Hello.
Hello. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
So is your topic just like what your background is?
Yeah, Christianity supports the following: slavery, rape, and murder. Join if you disagree.
Yeah, I disagree.
Okay,
So,
which topic would you like to start with?
I'll just go in order.
Slavery. Okay, you disagree that God supports slavery, correct?
Yes, correct.
Okay, did God tell the Israelites that they're allowed to own non-Israelites as slaves for life?
He did.
Okay, so God supports slavery.
So if he's for slavery, why did he free the slaves?
He freed his chosen people. He doesn't want his own chosen people, the Israelites, to be slaves, but he allows them to have slaves. He didn't free slaves. He didn't free every slave on the earth. He freed the Israelites, his chosen people, the ones that he loves and cares about. After he allowed them to be enslaved for 400 years, mind you.
Okay.
So we agree. So you agree that God supports slavery. Would you like to move on to the next one?
No, I actually disagree. Can we stay on here? I want to.
So when God said, "Hey, Israelites, you can go and own foreigners as slaves for life," you're saying that that's God not supporting slavery?
That is God. That is God supporting slavery.
Okay, we agree. God supports slavery.
But he it's not something that he continued to support. It's something that he.
That's irrelevant. It's irrelevant. God supported it.
We agree. How about do unto others as
preach mode? Preach mode.
How is it preaching? I'm taking.
You're literally just pivoting away from the topic and then starting to preach.
We're talking about. Isn't the topic slavery?
Yeah, but you started preaching about do unto others. Is like we agree God supports slavery. You just agreed, DJ. You just agreed with me that God supported slavery. So let's move on to the next topic. Nobody wants to sit here and listen to two people talk about things that they agree on, right? They want to hear the discussions of opposing views, not if we have the same view.
All right, let's go on to rape.
Great. Okay. If somebody saw your mother in battle and desired her for a wife and thought she was beautiful, and captured her after they kill your grandparents and capture your mother and take her to his house and let her cry over your dead grandparents for 30 days. And after 30 days, he goes into her and forces her to be his wife. Has your mother been captured and raped at that point, sir?
Does it say have sex?
It says he went into her and forced her to be his wife.
Can you show me which verse?
Well, hold on. I will, but I just want to know, is that rape? Has your mother been captured and raped at that point?
If that's what it says, then.
Well, let's just take the Bible. Let's just take God and Bible out of it.
How do you know that she's not consenting?
DJ, hold on a second. Let's just take the Bible and God out of the equation for a second. I just want to know if your mother has been captured. If your mother has been captured in a battle and forcefully taken away to this man's house where she's not free to go, and then after 30 days of letting her mourn for her dead parents, he goes into her and forces her to be his wife. Has your mother been captured and raped at that point?
She's been captured, but if she's consenting, You can't say it's grape. Grape.
Okay, so you didn't hear what I said. She's been captured and taken to this man's house where she is not free to go. She's being held against her will. She's not free to go. Okay?
Is that what it says?
Hold on. I'm not talking about the Bible. I'm just giving you a scenario. I'm giving you a scenario.
Well, we're doing theoreticals now, bro.
Well, hold on. I just want to know if this is grape or not. If you capture a woman, if somebody captured your mother and forced her to go to your house where she's not free to go, and cuts her nails off so that she can't defend herself, she can't scratch you, cuts her hair off, cuts her clothes off, and lets her mourn for her dead parents for 30 days. And then after 30 days, he goes into her and forces her to be his wife. Has your mother been captured and raped?
Brother, that's a great analogy, but I don't deal with theoreticals.
So the fact that you won't say yes, it's obvious my mother has been raped. It's very obvious that your mother has been
reality, not theoreticals.
So it's very obvious that your mother has been sexually assaulted here and raped.
My mother has never been sexual assaulted.
In this scenario, yes, she has.
Theoretical scenario, yes.
Okay, yes, fine. Okay, in this scenario, you agree that if that happens to somebody, like your mother, for instance, that yes, your mother has been captured and raped, right? Right?
If in this theoretical scenario that she does not consent, then yes.
Right. Yep, she's not free to go. Yep, she does not consent. She's been captured. She's literally been kidnapped at this point, and she's not free to go. And there's nothing consensual about being kidnapped, right? So yeah, she's been raped. Okay. So in Deuteronomy 21:10-14, okay, this is what God says you're allowed to do in battle. When you go out to war against your enemies, and the Lord your God gives them to you in your hand, and you take them captive, and you see among the captives a beautiful woman, and you desire her to take her to be your wife. You can bring her home to your house, and she will shave her head and pare her nails, and she shall take off the clothes in which she is captured in, and shall remain in your house and lament her father and her mother for a full month. After that you may go into her and be her husband, and she shall be your wife. That's great. You agree with me that's capturing and raping a woman. And God supports this. This is what God says you're allowed to do in battle. He told his soldiers that if you see a beautiful woman in battle, you can take among them the captives and capture her and take her to your house. And she's not free to go.
Here's the problem.
Uh-oh, here we go. It was great when it was his mother.
How do you know that she actually agreed to be his wife?
She didn't agree. There's nothing consensual about being captured, and she's not free to leave this man's house. She cannot go free.
How do you know the man, how do you know that they became wife? Because do you know how marriage works in the Old Testament?
Yeah, they have to consummate the marriage.
Right, but don't they have a ceremony for it?
Yeah, like the Hebrews and the Israelites would, yeah, but not if you're capturing a woman taken in battle, no.
I'm pretty sure that in the Old Testament, if I'm remembering correctly, that...
So it was great when it was your mother, but now that your mother is out of the equation and that this is actually what God allows, it's not grape.
Hold on, back to what I was saying. Let me finish my sentence. I'm pretty sure anyone who becomes an Israelite, first of all, cannot be a slave. Basically, when I say becoming an Israelite, starts believing in God and can't be a slave, and she basically becomes elevated in status because she became one of God's people.
So it's okay to capture a woman and grape her in order to bring her closer to God?
Nobody's saying she got raped. I think that's
yes. It says where did she consent? Where did she consent?
Where did she not consent?
She was captured. DJ, she was captured.
But capture does not mean sex.
DJ, she was captured and she's not free to go. She's being held forcefully, and then he marries her.
All right,
how is that not? Listen, if you marry a woman, DJ, if she didn't want to get married, she could have left, right? But she's not allowed to go. She cannot leave. She's being held there forcefully. You know how I know this? Because it says, if you no longer delight in her, then you shall set her free, which means she's not free to go. So after you are done with her, if you're not pleased with her, you can set her free. So she's in this man's house. She's been captured.
So aren't you admitting that if you don't want her, you can let her go as a wife? Like if you're not.
And that implies that she's not free to go, DJ. So how can you, if you marry a woman who's not free to go, where's the consent there, DJ? Where's the consent?
Hold on. It says.
No, answer me. If you marry a woman who is not free to go, where is the consent there?
If you marry a woman who's not free to go, Consent in terms of sex, or can just consent to not be able to go?
There's no consent anywhere if she's not free to go.
Right, but we're talking about grape right now. So she does not. She did not give you the consent to capture for sure. That we agree on. But
she can't leave. She can't leave. You can do anything you want to her. She can't leave.
Hold on. If you don't, it just says you can set her free if you don't desire her.
Right. After you marry her, and if you're not pleased with her, you can set her free.
After, does it say after you marry her?
Yes, it says, and she shall take off the clothes and pare her nails, and she shall take off the clothes in which she was captured, and shall remain in your house and lament her father and her mother for a full month. After that, you may go into her and be her husband, and she shall be your wife. But if you are no longer delight in her, you shall set her free where she wants to go.
Right. So you capture
after you've married her.
Okay, but marriage doesn't necessarily mean you've had sex with her.
How do you consummate a marriage in the old times?
You have sex.
There you go. And is this woman free to go?
Married before you have sex.
Is this woman free to go?
If you don't desire, yes.
There you go. Yeah. So she's not free to go. She's being held captive. She's been captured, and she shall remain in this man's house. And after he allows her to mourn for the family that you've just slaughtered for 30 days, you can go into her, and she shall be your wife. There's nothing consensual about this, DJ. This woman has had her entire family slaughtered. She's been taken against her will. She's being held captive in this man's house. She's not free to go. And then she's married to the man.
What's her alternative?
You just set her free in the first place. You don't capture her.
Where's she supposed to go? Her whole village just got.
It doesn't matter. Where's she supposed to go?
So she's supposed to die? Is that? Do you want her to die?
DJ, where's she supposed to go after you set her free when you're not pleased with her?
To the wilderness. There's nowhere else for her to go.
Then you could have just done that in the first place. You didn't have to capture her at all.
That's God looking after her, saying, "Hey, like you're
whoa, go capturing capturing a woman and forcing her to be somebody's wife is God looking after her."
Well, yeah, that's the man. Therefore, has to provide for her.
But God says you can set her free if she doesn't please you. So He could have just set her free in the beginning, DJ. If you could set her free after you're married and you're not pleased with her, then you could have just fucking set her free in the first place. You didn't have to capture her. You didn't have to force her to be your wife. You could have just let her go. And for you to say, we captured her and we raped her, but like, what were we supposed to do? Were we supposed to just let her go? We can't just let her go. I mean, obviously we have to capture her and rape her. We can't just let her go, right? Wait, could we let her go? No, we can't let her go, guys. We got to capture her and grape her.
Did you not just propose a scenario where she can just be let go?
After he is not pleased with her, you can let her go. So DJ, you said, well, what's the alternative?
But pleased in what sense? Because pleased does not necessarily.
It just says if you no longer delight in her, you must set her free.
That's not exclusive to sex.
Fine, if she fucking drink all the milk in the fucking fridge, you can fucking divorce her and let her go.
Yes,
but the point is, you could have let her go in the first place.
So hold on, back to the topic.
DJ, you could have let her go in the first place.
Come on,
you could have let her go in the first place. You did not have to capture her.
Exactly.
So then why did you say? Well, what's the alternative? When I said you can capture a woman and force her to be your wife, you said, well, what's the alternative? I said you could have just let her go. Oh, but then she'll die. So,
well, what if she dies?
But oh my God, DJ, you're being so fucking disingenuous here.
Hold on, don't you care? I'm not being disingenuous.
Yes, you are.
Your questions.
DJ, stop. When I asked you, why did he have to capture her and force her to be his wife? You said, well, what's the alternative? I said, he could have just let her go. And then you said, well, then she would die. But then when you get to the very end of the verse, if you're not happy with her, you can let her go anyways. So he could have let her go. He did not have to capture her and force her to be his wife. He could have let her go.
Okay. So he could have let her go.
Yes. Wouldn't that have been better?
Is death better than rape?
You're assuming she's going to die. And if you're not happy with her, you can let her go anyway. So wouldn't it have been better just to let her go as opposed to capturing her and raping her?
So you're saying, hold on, everybody in the chat is questioning my morality. So you're saying that That is better to let her go and let her die.
You're assuming she's going to die.
Okay, and you're assuming she's raped. So we're both
No, I'm not assuming that because she's not consented to this. I'm left with the conclusion.
You don't know
I'm
that.
left with the
assumption. Everybody,
Nope,
everybody
nope, it's not an assumption.
You and they're just following you, bro. It's an assumption at the end of the day.
DJ, it's not an assumption. I'm left with the only conclusion that she was raped since she was captured, kidnapped, forcefully held in this man's home. She's not free to go, and then they're married while she's not free to go. I'm left with the conclusion that there was nothing consensual about this.
So how about this? What if she gets married to him? Is she free to go then?
Not unless he's not pleased with her. No. It doesn't say that once they're married she can go. It says after they're married, but if you no longer delight in her, you shall set her free. But you shall not sell her for money, since you have humiliated her. So it just pissed me off that you were like, well, what's the alternative? They can't just let her go, right? I mean, what were they supposed to do?
I mean, look, naturally, don't we all agree that, like, we don't want, death is not good for, like...
You're assuming she's going to die. You're assuming she's going to die.
But, yeah.
And me personally, like, if this, like, DJ, if it was your daughter, would you rather them set your daughter free and just let her out in the wilderness, or would you rather them capture her and force her to be somebody's wife?
I mean, I'd rather my daughter survive, so I'd want her to be provided for, and if that means she has to be somebody's wife, then that's all it is. That's actually how all...
You would rather your daughter be held captive.
Bro.
You would rather your daughter be held captive.
Finish my sentence, bro.
You would rather your daughter be held fucking captive in somebody's home against her will as opposed to setting her free. You would rather your daughter be held captive in somebody's home against her will as opposed to being set free. Do you fucking hear yourself? Unmute yourself, DJ. Click the little microphone button and unmute yourself. Calm down, host. I'm trying. I swear. I'm really fired up today. I'm sorry.
In the context of death or being raped, yeah, I wouldn't want my daughter to die.
You would rather your daughter be captured than set free.
In the context of death or rape, yes.
That is fucking insane. That is fucking insane that you, as a Christian, would rather your daughter... You would rather your daughter be kidnapped and captured and taken to some man's home where she's held forcefully against her will as opposed to them just setting her free.
All right, first of all, I think it's insane that you'd rather your daughter die.
I would rather my daughter be set free, yes.
And die?
No, you're assuming she's going to die. But
where's she gonna? But hold on. Okay, let's go down that road. Where is she gonna go?
She has a chance. She has a chance of fighting for survival.
Where? Chance where?
She has a chance. She has a chance. She can find another community. She can find another community. But guess what? I know one thing. I know one thing for sure.
Hundreds of miles. What is she gonna do?
I know one thing for sure. I know one thing for sure. That I would rather her get set free as opposed to her being captured and her hair cut off and her nails cut and clothes cut off and held forcefully against her will in some man's home and forced to be somebody's wife until he's done with her, and then he kicks her out in the first place, and then he ends up kicking her out anyways. When all of that could have been avoided, I'd rather her go free. Yes.
Sorry, restart that. You
fucking disgusting. Yes, I would rather my daughter be set free as opposed to her being captured and held against her will and forced to be somebody's wife until he's done with her and then he boots her to the curb anyways. I would rather my daughter be set free as opposed to being captured and forced into somebody's home and forced to be somebody's wife until he's done with her and boots her to the curb anyways. All of that could have been avoided. I'd rather her just go free. And the fact that you would rather your daughter be captured and held against her will and forced to be somebody's wife until he's done with her and then he kicks her out anyways is crazy to me. You could have just set her free. I would rather my daughter go free. So I'm trying to calm down, guys. I'm sorry. I'm usually not this lit up, but I'm just getting pissed off with the way that with the people that I'm speaking with here. Oh my gosh, you guys are the worst.
Hey man, I'm here to comfort you. I'm not here to give you a hard time. I hope you're having a good day. I just want to say that.
I am having a good day. Thanks, man. I'm having fun. It's just frustrating. It's just crazy, some of the shit I've heard so far today.
I get
and
it, man.
and I've heard it all, dude. I've like I was just talking the other day to Days. I was like, I'm pretty much desensitized to like almost everything that a Christian has told me, but I don't know. Today is like I heard some pretty wild shit today from these people.
Well, I mean, I was here yesterday and I tried to get on here and I noticed, geez, oh man, I don't know how to say things like the right way. I just want to say, I guess, I don't want to be offensive, you know what I mean? And I realize like I have issues myself, but I noticed you've been on this same kind of topic for 2 days. I'm not here to criticize you, like I said. What is it that you really, what is this helping you with?
I just enjoy making Christians think critically about their beliefs.
And you know what? I had a really hard time. I asked for someone to forgive me. They didn't forgive me, and they started laughing at me. And it really made me realize, like, wow, like I think I need to take this like whole love thing a step further. I can't always expect everyone to forgive me for everything. So, like, I appreciate the critical thinking, and I realize that things are kind of in my life because it's like, I feel like it's I don't know, it might be a reflection of myself in some way or just an opportunity to grow. So
I got you.
I try to take everything. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, I was going to say, I got like 20 people waiting, so I appreciate you coming up here, and thanks for the kind words telling me I'm hoping I'm having a good day, and I hope you have a good day as well, too.
Thanks, boss. I appreciate you, man. You have a great one.
You too.
Yes,
thanks.
sir.
Thanks, Keith. Appreciate you, man. Thank you. All right, let's get to the next guest here, guys. Make sure you're following me, guys, and spamming those likes, and subscribe to the YouTube if you want to watch the full live streams. The link's in the bio. Hello?
Hey, what's up, man?
Hey, how you doing? Are you a Christian?
No, absolutely not. I agree with you.
All right, I appreciate you, but I got people waiting, man. But I appreciate you, though. Just looking to speak with Christians, though, guys. Only send a guest request if you're a Christian, guys. Please, only send a guest request if you disagree that Christianity supports the following. Hello? Oh, you got a really noisy background, man. Please don't be in a noisy area, guys. Please try to be somewhere relatively quiet if you can. Please don't be driving, guys, and make sure you're 18 plus.
What's up, man?
Hey, how old are you?
I'm 32. How old is you?
All right, cool. You got to be 18 plus to be on here, so you're good. Are you Christian?
Yeah, for life, man.
All right. Where would you like to start the conversation?
I wanted to start in your order, slavery. I know
Slavery.
what you got up there.
Yeah, okay. So you disagree that God supports slavery, correct?
I disagree because you focus on the Old Testament. We looking at the New Testament after Jesus came and died for our sins.
All right. Well, let me tell you what Jesus says about the Old Testament, okay?
Yeah, the Old Testament is the Old Testament.
Yeah, but let me tell you what Jesus says about it, okay?
The Old Testament stopped when Jesus came. You know
let me tell you what Jesus says, all right? In Matthew 5:17, okay? Jesus says, "Don't think that I've come to destroy the law of Moses or the teachings of the prophets. I have not come to destroy the teachings and give full meaning to them. I assure you that nothing will disappear from the old law until heaven and the earth are gone. The law will not lose even the smallest letter or the smallest part of the letter. A person should obey every command in the old law, even one that does not seem important. Whoever refuses to obey any command and teaches others not to obey it will be the least important in God's kingdom." So Jesus says that you will obey every command from the old law until the heaven and the earth are gone. Is the earth gone, sir?
Do you know the old law?
Yeah, part of the old law, like one of the things.
Do you know the Ten Commandments?
Not by heart, no.
Okay, so basically the Ten Commandments eliminate all your three topics: slavery, rape, and murder.
Really?
Right?
What's the 10th commandment? The 10th commandment says, "Thou shalt not covet another person's slave." Slavery is actually mentioned in the 10 commandments.
You think so?
Yes, that's what the 10th commandment says. Thou shalt not covet. The 10th commandment says, "Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife, their neighbor's slave," and something like that.
The Ten Commandments will eliminate all your argument. Okay.
Let's start with slavery. All right. Let's start with slavery.
This is the one that's gonna eliminate all your top three topics. Okay.
Let's start with slavery. Did God tell the? Hey, relax, OG. OG, relax. Calm down.
Yeah.
Just take a deep breath, sir. Take a deep breath, man. Relax.
No, you take a deep breath.
Did God?
I know what you. I can see it in your eyes. I can see what you are in your eyes. You
Calm down. Calm down.
You know what I'm saying?
Did God tell the? Hey,
treat others the way you
I need
want
to. I need to be able to have a back and forth here. Can we have a back and? Can we have a back and forth conversation here?
Go ahead, little homie.
Okay. Did God tell the Israelites that they're allowed to own non-Israelites as slaves for life?
Hey, we in the new era. We in the era. We live in the time that.
Can you just answer? Can you just answer the question?
So in the Ten Commandments, what do it say? Treat others the way you want to be treated.
Can you just answer the questions?
Do you want your mom to be a slave? Do you want to be a slave? Do you want to be great? Do you want to be murdered?
Can you just answer the question, sir?
That falls in the Ten Commandments.
Can you just answer my question?
What's your question, man?
You forgot what I asked you? You forgot what I asked you?
That's the whole problem. You want control, but you don't know the truth, though.
Can you stop crying? Tiny violin until you're done crying. Here's a little tiny violin until you're done crying.
What's up, man?
Are you done crying?
What you got to say, demon?
Did God tell the Israelites they're allowed to own non-Israelites as slaves for life?
No, he didn't say that. Not in the New Testament.
All right,
you
Leviticus
about slavery in the New Testament.
Yeah, Ephesians 6:5. Obey your slaves, or slaves obey your earthly masters the same way you would obey Christ.
Okay, but do you want to be a slave?
Okay, but no.
Do you want to be a slave? Do you want your mom to be great?
Sir, I'm trying to have a debate. I'm trying to have a debate here. So
that's what I'm trying to have, but you ain't responding to my questions. I'm asking
your questions are irrelevant.
No, my questions.
Can you engage in conversation here? Leviticus 25:44 through 46. Read it.
Leviticus is the Old Testament, little homie.
Yeah, but it's still your God. It's still your God.
Leviticus is the Old Testament.
It's still your. So do you have two gods?
Before Jesus, because Jesus made the way.
Do you have two gods? Do you have two gods?
Hey, Jesus made the way to God. So
do you have two gods? Do you have two gods?
I can see it in your eyes what you about. You a demon, just like that cop that killed me.
You just came up here to cry. Like OG just literally came up here to cry and whine and complain. OG literally just came up here to just pout and cry. I expected more from OG. Put them fries in the bag. Wipe your tears, OG. Thank you guys for the gifts. I appreciate y'all. Thank you so much.
Hello?
Hello. Hey, how you doing? Are you 18?
Yes, I'm 19.
Are you a Christian?
Yes.
All right. What you got for us?
Well, first of all, obviously I joined because I disagree, right? Okay. But I want to ask you why, why do you mock Christianity? Like, first of all,
I don't think the belief system inherently deserve respect.
Okay, but what's the need for for example, if I don't like something, I don't have to mock it, right?
Okay, fine. Listen, did you come here to cry too, or can we have a discussion about the topics here?
Okay, sure. Okay, sure.
Yeah. So pick a topic and let's go.
Murder.
Fine, murder. Okay. Is killing babies murder?
You keep bringing the same argument. Can you come up with another?
Can you answer the question? Is killing babies murder?
Yeah.
Okay.
Abortion is murder.
Okay. Yeah. Is it wrong to kill newborn babies?
Yeah.
If you kill a newborn baby, is that murder?
Yeah.
Did God command King Saul to go and kill newborn babies?
If your president commands you to go in war and kill the enemy, are you going to do it?
Did God command King Saul to go and kill the Amalekite babies?
Have a conversation, a discussion? I'm just asking questions. I'm asking questions back.
Felipe, the conversation we're having here is whether or not God supports murder, correct?
We're disagreeing,
Yeah, but you agree with me that
need to happen.
You agreed with me that killing a newborn baby is murder, and God commanded King Saul to go and kill the Amalekite babies. Therefore, God supports murder.
That doesn't mean it's support.
Really?
Yeah, really.
So if God says, "Hey, go do this," he doesn't support that?
If I tell you to give me $100 because my rent's due and I really, really need it, and you don't give me,
wouldn't you support? Wouldn't you support me? Oh, thank you for the $30 on Cash App. $30 for cooking them this money. Yeah, thank you so much, Heather Lynn. Thank you so much, Heather Lynn. I really appreciate that. $30 on Cash App. Wow, incredible. Felipe, yeah. So if you asked me to give you $100, wouldn't you be supporting me and giving you $100?
No, okay, no, but let me finish, right? Let's just say I need that $100, right, to pay rent because I really need it, right? But you don't support then you're supporting like poverty. Is that right?
This analogy is terrible. This is a terrible analogy. Can you come up with another one? I don't even know what you're trying to achieve here with this analogy. Look, Felipe, look. Killing newborn babies is murder, right? God commanded King Saul to go and kill the Amalekite newborn babies. God supports murder. If he didn't support it, he wouldn't have told them to go do it. If God says, I want you to go out and wage war against my enemies, God supports that. God supports you going out and waging war against his enemies. So if God says, I want you to go out and kill the Amalekite babies because they're my enemies, God supports it. And you agree that killing newborn babies is murder.
Okay, I agree.
So God supports murder.
The killing babies is wrong. Now, do you know about the 10 Commandments?
Sir, stay on topic here.
But do you know the law?
Yes, one of the commandments says, thou shalt not murder.
Okay, so if he says that, how can he support what he's saying do not do?
That's your problem to figure out. It's not my problem to figure out. It's not my problem to figure out the contradictions in your book. It's your problem.
No, honestly,
that is your problem to figure out the contradictions in your book. It's not my problem. If God says don't murder, and then he turns around and says, "Hey, go murder,"
buddy.
Yeah,
buddy, come on.
If God says don't murder, Felipe,
if the law says otherwise, buddy, come on.
If God says don't murder, and then he turns around and says go murder babies, that's not my problem to figure out. That's your problem to figure out. It's your book.
The book,
buddy, it's your book.
Says, do not kill. But God clearly says to go and kill your children. Do not kill, right?
Felipe, God clearly says to go and
something that you're not.
God, I'm going to mute you if you don't stop. God clearly says to go and kill your children if they worship other gods.
Look, I got an argument. It has nothing to do with the Bible or,
That's murder.
It's back and forth, If you talking over me, if you threaten me to mute myself, like, what type of argument do you want to have? What's the point of this life? If you want to really
the point of this live is to get Christians to think critically about their beliefs.
Okay,
I already answered that.
If you want to get me through it,
Benny, thank you for the $6. Thank you for the $6.66 on Cash App, Benny. Thank you so much. Appreciate you, Benny. Love you, man. Sorry, Felipe. What were you saying?
If you want to give me, like you said, I want to get through Christians, and critical, make them think otherwise, about the religion. Then let me talk. Let me actually have a conversation with you. Say, hey, you know what? Maybe you're right. Maybe I'm wrong. But in this case,
I'm so tired of these crybabies, guys. If you're gonna come on here, just debate. Don't cry. Don't complain. This isn't a complaint department. This isn't Dr. Phil. Like, come up here and debate and discuss. Stop crying. Stop complaining. I don't care if you don't like the way I debate. I don't care if you don't like the way I talk. Just stop complaining. Just give an argument. Just discuss. Debate. Don't cry.
Hey man, how's it going?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Good. Is there an echo on your end?
No, you're good.
Okay, cool.
Are you a Christian?
Yes, sir.
Okay, where would you like to start?
I know a few lives ago, and I know we're going to have our own conversation here. We talked about Old Testament versus New Testament, and I kind of like to get into that one.
Oh, we spoke before?
No. A couple lives ago, you talked to someone else about this. So,
a couple of guests ago, you mean, or a couple of live streams ago?
Yeah, a couple of guests. My bad.
A couple of guests ago. Okay, yeah. Go ahead and start. Where would you like to start at?
So I think there's a lot of things in the Old Testament that bring pause and question. The context is thousands of years ago. I get that humans have a moral code, but the New Testament is rewriting that. I know Jesus talks how the law isn't going to change. He's referring to the 10 Commandments.
No, it doesn't say that. It does not. Hold on.
Yeah, go ahead.
It doesn't specify when Jesus says when Jesus is talking about the Old Testament writings, it does not specify that he's only talking about the 10 Commandments.
Is there, this is a question, is there a Greek translation or the translation that it was written in where he can refer specifically to the law? Is there a way we can get to that?
I'm not sure. I mean, the New Testament was originally... Important. Yeah, I mean, the New Testament was originally written in Greek, but I'm not going to sit here and try to translate every single word.
That's
All I know
true.
is
That's true.
I'm just gonna read what it says, and Jesus says that every person should obey the command in the old law, and whoever doesn't obey the commands in the old law will be the least important person in heaven, and that not one bit of the old law will go away until the heavens and the earth are gone.
Yeah. Do you think that everyone is going to have to follow the old law, or do you think that everyone has to take it into account?
I don't know. I don't
Okay.
know.
Because
The way I read it,
answer for this.
the way I read it as if you hold to everything Jesus says, and if you follow all of Jesus's teachings, if I was a follower of Jesus and I hold everything he says, I hold to be sincere, I would take this as him saying every command in the old law should be still obeyed, and that who doesn't obey those laws will be the least important person in heaven, according to him.
Yeah, I mean, it's straight from the mouth. You're absolutely right. The only reason I bring up the other languages is because there's so many moments within the Bible that when it gets translated to English, the word either gets changed or diluted from what the Bible actually means. And when studying the Bible, you find new things you didn't find before by understanding the Greek of it. So it might be different. I'm saying I don't know. But I don't think it's also a leg to stand on that thinks that, Christianity, the New Testament Christianity that Jesus said, supports rape, supports murder, if we don't know the full story.
Yeah, well, like
by we I mean you and me.
Is in your worldview is Jesus God?
Yeah, 3 in 1.
Okay, so if Jesus is God, then Jesus is the God of the Old Testament as well. He's the God of the entire Bible, right?
No, it's a little different. So it's 3 in 1. It's God the Father was the one that showed himself to the people in the Old Testament.
Okay, if Jesus isn't the God that you worship, I just want to talk about that God. I don't want to talk about Jesus.
So, no, this is really, really good. Jesus is fully God, the Father is fully God, the Holy Spirit is fully God, but they are also operating as 3 separate entities. That's the whole theology of it.
Okay, so like you know what the very first verse of the Bible is, right?
In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth.
Yeah, Genesis 1:1. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. When it says God there, the word God, in the beginning,
Probably
God
means all 3. You're right.
Is that Jesus?
Probably, yeah. You're right. It probably means all 3.
Okay. So then, if every time the Old Testament says God, we can just easily say that that's also Jesus.
This isn't. I don't want to be the one causing problems here, but this also brings up a good point to look at the translations because they distinguish themselves. I wish I could pull it up for you. I want to Google it right now, but there is distinguished where they talk about the Father versus when they talk about Jesus at certain moments.
Well, just for the sake, just to kind of get an argument going here, just to get a conversation going here, I'm just going to use the word God, and if however you want to take that, you can take that as meaning Jesus or not Jesus or whatever, but God supports slavery, God supports rape and murder. We can go through some scriptures and we can talk about them. That's just, I don't want to sit here and debate over whether Jesus is God here, Jesus is not God there, and then this, when it says this, that's actually not Jesus, and then when it means this, that actually is Jesus. You know what I mean?
Yeah, if we use, that's totally fair, and I agree with you. But if we use that to try and discredit Christianity, if we're not getting the full story and we're not understanding it, then I mean we're just basically shooting back and forth with no actual background.
Well, how about I just say I'm looking to have conversation with somebody who has very firm beliefs in what they think, and I don't want sounds like to me like you're like you don't fully understand, and you're not going to be able to argue these points very well.
I'm actually kind of debating the opposite, that you don't fully understand, and I wish I had that in memory, each verse in the Greek translation. I'd be happy to actually go in and look at it with you, and then we might be able to debate, but what you're debating right now might not be fully true.
So the Bible is not reliable?
No, that's not what I said at all. I'm saying you have to go back. The translations might not be reliable. That's true.
So if the Bible is reliable, let's start with slavery. Did God tell the Israelites that they're allowed to own non-Israelites as slaves for life?
Yeah, it's directly from the verse. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, so God supports slavery.
That's not true.
So when God said, hey, you can go and get slaves and you can own them for life, you're saying that that's not God supporting slavery.
I'm saying that God's law changed.
Wait, hold on. I'm not talking about whether God's law changed or not. And your God doesn't change. Your God's morality never changes. Would you agree?
I don't think so, no.
So you think God can change?
Yeah, he did. Okay,
well, Malachi 3:6 says, I am the Lord and I don't change.
Can you read?
Huh? Hey, we can't hear you. You got to come back to the app. Are you there?
There. Can you hear me?
Yeah, if you swipe away from the app, we can't hear you. Just so you know.
Okay. Can I take 5 seconds to look at the verse real quick?
Yeah, it's Malachi 3:6. I am the Lord, and I don't change. You are Jacob's children, and you have not been completely destroyed.
Okay. Well, what's the context behind that verse?
This is God saying, I am the Lord, and I don't change.
No, I get it, but what's the context? What's the story behind it? Because that means
What?
something. Yeah, what's the story in Malachi where he's telling them
it
that?
means that God doesn't change.
No, the context, the pretext of the story in which he tells them that. What happened before?
Why is that? Are you saying that are you saying that you can find a verse that cancels out God saying I don't change?
No, I'm just saying it gives you additional context because he might not be changing in a certain way depending on what Malachi says. Like you can't just cherry pick verses and have that be the.
This is what the Lord says. I am the Lord and I don't change.
In what way? What does Malachi say?
I don't know. It just says he doesn't change.
So I'm not challenging the morality of these things. Obviously, slavery, rape, and murder are wrong. I'm just challenging in the way that you go about it and try and, one, cherry pick these verses, and two, force people into a line of questioning that will make them honestly sound terrible. Because that's not
How are
true.
those things? How are those things more obviously immoral if God supports slavery?
Again, that's what we're debating on right now. I'm telling you, you're going to need context if you want to truly affirm that he supports slavery. Because I don't think he does.
God gave very specific rules and instructions to the Israelites on how to practice slavery. If God
in the
didn't
Old Testament.
Yes, God.
If you want to say that he supported in the past,
but God doesn't
I think
change.
that's horrible.
But
And that's
God
actually
doesn't-
something I wrestle with.
But God doesn't change. Your God's morality never changes. That's why you have objective morality, right? You believe
I'm
objective.
arguing that it does change. The morality I come from gets from the New Testament.
So you don't have objective morality from God. You have subjective morality.
No, from Jesus. What are you talking about? He talks about he's the new path.
Do you have
I am
objective?
the way, the truth, and the light. Nobody gets through the Father except through me.
Is
He's
your
the new moral code.
the morality that you get from your God, is it objective?
Yeah.
Then it doesn't change. Because if it changed, it would be subjective.
Okay, I guess I'm just fumbling with the definitions of the words.
So if your God's morality never changes, then it's objective. That means it's always going to be whatever it is, no matter what, independent of mind. So
okay,
if
then
God's
I guess if it's subjective, then I don't know. I don't know what you mean.
What I'm trying to say here is that God's morality never changes. So God says that it's morally permissible for the Israelites to own foreigners as slaves for life. He gave them very specific rules and regulations and instructions on how to practice slavery. There's an entire list of things God commanded you to not do. He didn't put slavery on that list. He put slavery on the list of things that you are morally permissible, allowed to do. Because God thinks owning people as property for life is morally permissible. And since your God's morality never changes, then that is always good to God. He supports that. He condones it. He regulates it. He in fact, in some cases, commands it.
What if my argument is that it is changing? I've been trying to say that. I've been doing a bad job, but
well then you don't have objective morality from God. Your morality would be subjective.
I think I got that part wrong.
Which that doesn't make sense. And honestly, you're probably the second or third Christian I've ever spoke to, honestly, on these lives that have told me that they believe that God can change, that God changes. Almost every one of them agrees that no, God does not change. He's perfect.
I'm not saying change as in God will change his mind or change his moral structure. I'm trying to answer your questions. What I'm referring to is the Old Testament and the New Testament, the Old Covenant and New Covenant. The new things Jesus brings to the table that shakes the foundations of the Old Testament. That's why he was killed.
But we both agree that Jesus says not one bit of the old law should be ignored until the heaven and the earth are gone. And in fact, all the old law should be obeyed if you want to be the most important person in heaven.
But then why did they kill him? Because there's so many other verses in which he defies the Pharisees and tells them the exact opposite of what they're preaching.
They killed him because he ran his mouth and claimed to be the Son of God, and they were like, hey, you can't do that. That's blasphemy. And that's why he got himself killed.
Yeah, he's claiming to be the Messiah, and he's claiming to be the next chosen.
Yeah, and that pissed a lot of people off. They consider that to be blasphemy. That's why he got killed.
I'm struggling here. He didn't just do it because he claimed to be the Messiah. That was the big one. But
that's what got him killed.
He also reconstructed the Sermon on the Mount, so many different things that were counterintuitive to what people followed back in the day. They didn't like his preachings and his teachings, not only because he was the Messiah, but because of what he was preaching. Turn the other cheek, love your neighbor, including the Jews and including the Gentiles. Love your neighbor. These are all things that these people could not fathom and understand. He wasn't just killed because he was claimed to be the Messiah. He brought new law to the table.
That's okay. Well, we're getting off topic here. Let's go. Like, we're talking about whether or not God supports slavery.
I think this is completely on topic, because if he's shaking the foundation,
the New
Testament trumps. That's what I follow. That's what
how is a discussion about the reasons Jesus was crucified anywhere remotely relevant to whether or not God supports slavery?
Because of the teachings of the New Testament that he says is different than the Old Testament. So if the God of the Old Testament is ordering to have babies be killed, that's not what Jesus came to preach. That's not what he talked about,
sir,
and that would be looked down on.
Respectfully, I don't care about what the New Testament says, because Jesus himself says that not one bit of the old law will be ignored until the heaven and the earth are gone. And in fact, you should obey every law, because if you want to be most important person in heaven. So I don't really care about the New Testament.
I mean, if you don't care about the New Testament, then you can't really debate Christians effectively, because the New Testament is the entire foundation.
I want to talk about your God, whether or not your God supports slavery, rape, and murder. So let's talk about whether God supports slavery, okay?
Okay, this is a good question. Do you mean any God, or this live?
Your God.
Specifically. Okay, so you do mean any God.
Your God.
Well, anyone that comes onto this live, yes.
If they're Christian, yeah.
Okay, well, you can't
I'm only looking to
talk
speak
about
with
the New Testament if you want to talk about my God.
Well, I want to talk about slavery, but you keep trying to say that, well, why did Jesus get crucified? That's irrelevant. I don't even know why you brought that up. I'm trying to talk about slavery.
Well, I swear to you, I'm not trying to pivot. Like I said, there's stuff in the Old Testament that I truly wrestle with, but my belief system and why I'm a Christian is based on the New Testament's teachings of Jesus Christ and his death. That's it. So,
can we get back to discussion about slavery now?
Sorry, what?
Can we get back to the discussion about slavery now?
I mean, okay, I'll answer the questions the exact same way. I think slavery is immoral, but I think God's law changed from the Old to New Testament, so he doesn't support slavery.
But your God does not think slavery is immoral. Your God thinks slavery is permissible, and your God's morality never changes.
You say thinks as if it's active language. It's passive. He thought. He ordered. It was. This is past tense. The New Testament again.
That's fine. Whether you're okay, fine. Whether your God at one point in time, your God supported it. Fine, whatever. So God told the Israelites that they're allowed to have slaves for life. That's supporting slavery. If he didn't want his chosen people to have slaves, he would have said, "Hey, don't own slaves, because I don't support that." So he supported it. He gave very specific rules and instructions to them on how to practice it. So how can you sit there with a straight face and say that God, no, he doesn't support it? If he didn't support it, he would have said, "No, don't do this. Don't have slaves."
Like I said, that's exactly something that I wrestle with. I don't think it would shake my belief in Jesus Christ, though.
Well, I'm not trying to do that. I'm not here to shake your belief. I'm just trying to, have you think critically.
I hear you.
Yeah. I'm not here to disprove God. I'm not here to make you leave your faith or leave your religion. I'm just here to talk about what I perceive in the Bible, God being evil. I think the God character of the Bible is heinous and bloodthirsty, violent maniac. I think I see him as the villain of the book. You guys see him as the hero, right?
Yeah.
It's the opposite for me.
Yeah.
I think that God supports slavery, and I think he in fact condones it.
I think what you're doing right now is actually pretty important, because even for Christians, even for people that believe in their God, because I think this allows me a good opportunity to go in and look deeper into the scriptures, think critically, exactly like you said. I'm not preaching. I'm just saying I think this is really good that we're having this discussion.
Okay. Well, I got 21 guest requests, so I'm going to move on to the next guest, but I appreciate you being here. Thank you.
Yep, thanks for having me, bro. Bye.
Yeah, you too. Have a good day, man. Appreciate you. All right, guys, this is going to be the last guest here, everybody. This is going to be the last guest here. I got to get going here. Why do people keep saying Sketch? Who's Sketch? I'm just kidding. I know who Sketch is.
Hello? Hello? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I might have I got my AirPods in. So
there's a bit of an echo. Can you disconnect your can you just use your phone mic?
Yeah. Can you hear me a little better now?
No.
No?
I'm trying to wrap this live up here, man, so I'm just going to move on to the next guest with a little bit better audio. No, nothing personal. I just need somebody with a little bit better audio.
The offense is going to stay out there. They're going.
Somebody, that's even worse than the last guy. Please, guys, be in a quiet place. Hello.
Hey. Hello.
Hey.
How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm pretty good.
Cool.
So I'm gonna just cut to this real quick.
Please do.
Yeah, I know you're trying to get out of here. I used to be a Christian in the sense that a literalist, if you will. I went to like Bible college and such, and was a mission.
Yeah, I know who Sketch is, guys. I was just kidding. Guys, come up here and debate. Like, give me some arguments. Don't tell me your life story. Like, I'm looking to only speak with Christians. Like, let's get some arguments going here. Caleb left. All right, I'm trying to get one last guest in here, guys. Hello?
Yo, can you hear me?
Yes. Are you a Christian?
I am.
All right. Which topic would you like to start with?
Doesn't matter to me. Anyone can go down the list.
Slavery. Okay. So you disagree that God supports slavery, correct?
Correct. I disagree that God supports slavery.
Okay. Did God tell the Israelites that they're allowed to own foreigners as slaves for life?
Hello?
You muted yourself. Hey, we can't hear you, Snow. Snow, we can't hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you got muted there for a second.
Sorry, for some reason. Okay, sorry. What was the last thing you heard?
I just asked you a question, then you immediately cut out. So, like, the question was, did God tell the Israelites that they're allowed to own non-Israelites as slaves for life?
Okay, gotcha. So the short answer is no, he did not. But if you actually look at the context of who they're talking about, in terms of that passage, killing, attacking, whatever way you want to put it, do you know who the people that God is talking about?
Wait, maybe you didn't understand my question. The question was, did God tell the Israelites that they're allowed to own foreigners as slaves for life?
The problem that you're not addressing is the context of the passage. You're taking a verse out of context here. Do you know who he is talking about attacking?
The verse that I'm referring to does not mention attack at all.
What passage are you referencing?
Leviticus 25:44 through 46, where God tells the Israelites that they're allowed to own foreigners as slaves for life.
Okay. Do you have the whole passage instead of one scripture that's probably taken out of context?
Yeah, it's about your men and women slaves. You may get men and women slaves from the other nations around you. Also, you may get children as slaves if they come from the families of the foreigners living in your land. These child slaves will belong to you. You may even pass these foreign slaves on to your children after you die, so that they will belong to them. They will be your slaves forever.
Okay, gotcha. So, do you know what slavery was back then? Because it's not what you think it is today.
They were owned for life, and you're allowed to beat them with a rod as well.
Absolutely incorrect. Couldn't be farther from the truth. In fact, if you go further, it says to not treat them brutally.
So Exodus 21:20-21. Anyone who beats their male or female slave with a rod must be punished if the slave dies, but they are not to be punished if the slave recovers after a day or two. So you're allowed to beat your slave with a rod, and you will not be punished if the slave doesn't die, and you're allowed to own the foreigners as slaves for life.
Again, that's incorrect. And in fact, using the exact passage.
I just read it to you.
I understand that you just read it to me. Again, you're not looking at the context of it.
Okay, what's the context for owning slaves for life?
Sure. So the context of slavery back then was equivalent to our context in today of working for that person. Slavery was actually something back then that was not something where we view it as like, oh, we kill people, we forsake them, we brutalize them, humiliate them. That is not the context.
Snow. I'm not talking about indentured servitude. I'm not talking about debt slavery, where a fellow Hebrew can sell himself to a Hebrew, where he pays off a debt for 6 or 7 years and then he can go free. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about where Israelites can own foreigners as slaves for life, owning them as property for life, and you can make slaves of them.
It's the same context. That's what I'm trying to.
No, it's not a job.
It's that context. How do you know that? Where does it say that it's not?
Because if it's a job, you can leave. You can't leave. You're owned for life. These people were bought and they were purchased and they were owned for life. And you can even pass them on to your children when you die, and your children will own them. And you can even. You can even own children as slaves. What you're
Okay.
talking about the indentured servitude. There's a different set of laws for your Hebrew slaves as opposed to your foreign slaves. Are you aware of that?
That's the exact point I'm trying to make. There's a different set of laws. That's exactly what I'm trying to make. You said it yourself.
Right. But I'm not talking about the Hebrew slaves where they can go free after 6 or 7 years and they have to voluntarily sell themselves to pay off a debt. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about chattel slavery, where the Israelites are allowed to own foreigners, non-Israelites, from the foreign nations around them. They can own them as property forever.
Where does it? Okay, that's exactly what I'm talking about, though. Where does it say they can own them as property? And secondly, you can't just change the definition of slavery, even though it's the same exact.
I mean, you can try to church it up and call it a butler or a maid or whatever, but it says they're owned for life.
Okay, so then let me take it a step further. If God is for slavery from what you're trying to say, then why does he plead with multiple different kings in Persia to release these slaves, to free the people?
Because he wants his own chosen people, the Israelites, freed from slavery. But after he frees them, he tells them, you're allowed to go and get slaves. It's not like God freed every slave on the planet. He just freed his own chosen people from Egypt after he allowed them to be slaves for 400 years. Keep that in mind. But a lot of times Christians will say, how can God support slavery when he freed the slaves? He didn't free the slaves. He freed his chosen people, the Israelites, out of slavery. And once they were out of slavery, he gave them very specific rules and regulations instructing them on how to practice slavery. He told them, you're allowed to get slaves from the foreign nations around you, and those are the ones you can own forever.
Do you know who the foreign nations were? I'm not talking about
the nations that are around Israel. The nations that are around Israel.
So that's the point I'm trying to make. They're not just regular people, from different countries, and God hates non-chosen people. The people that it's referencing were from the Nephilim, bro. They were literal from demonic.
You keep changing your defense. First, it was no, God doesn't support slavery. God didn't say you can own slaves for life. Then now it's like, no, it was a job. It was a job. These people, now you're telling me that they weren't actually fully human. They were some kind of like evil giant.
Yeah, no, correct. That's the actual context. That's why I say you can't just cherry pick a verse. You have to look at the whole context of
Leviticus,
the passage.
What verse? Give me a verse that tells me that the foreigners referenced in 44 through 46 were Nephilim.
That whole book. In fact, the Deuteronomy 21 passage that you referenced in terms of to attack the
and how could they possibly be? How can they possibly be Nephilim if God drowned the world and flooded all the Nephilim in Genesis?
Because all of the former Elohim spirits, the fallen angels, not all of them were killed.
Okay, well, I'd like you to give me a verse that says that the foreigners referenced in Leviticus 25, 44 through 46 were actually Nephilim.
I'm giving you more than a verse. Go back to the whole book of the Bible.
No, I need a verse.
Deuteronomy chapter 1, 2, 3, 4. Like
I'd like a verse, sir.
The chapter 1.
I'd like a verse.
I'm giving you more than that. That's the thing.
I'd like you to give me a direct verse that I can tie back to these foreigners being Nephilim.
I'm giving you multiple books of the Bible here.
I'd like a very specific verse that ties these foreigners mentioned in Leviticus 25, 44 through 46, tying back to them being Nephilim.
I could probably find an exact verse for you, but what I'm trying not to do.
Go find it and come back. Go find it and come back. Because if you don't have the scripture, then I'm just wasting my time.
Hey, what's up, man? I'm back.
I already had you up. Your audio is terrible. There's an echo.
Still?
Yeah, I mean, you're going to have to like disconnect your Bluetooth. Just turn your Bluetooth off and just use your phone. Hello? All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this live stream. I really do got to get going. I was going to try to take another guest there. And Spencer, I seen you in the comments saying that you've been waiting a long time. I tried to bring you up, but your audio is terrible. So I'll give you one last try here, Spencer. Just turn your Bluetooth off. Send another guest request, and then just use your phone if you can. If you're still here. I don't see you in the guest requests. But all right, guys, listen, I appreciate you all being here. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. And I'm going to be live tomorrow as well, guys, probably from noonish. So if you enjoyed this live stream, if you want to go back and watch all my full live streams, consider subscribing to my YouTube. Thank you so much for the gifts, everybody. Thank you for the Cash Apps donations. I really appreciate you guys. Heather, thank you for the $30 on Cash App. Benny, thank you for the $6.66 on Cash App, man. Thank you guys. Love you guys. Thanks for the gifts, everyone. I really appreciate you. I'm sorry that if I didn't acknowledge any gifts that you were giving me. Oh, Snapchat, thank you for the sub, man. Appreciate you. Thank you so much for the subscription, Snapchat. I'm sorry that I didn't acknowledge any gifts. If you guys sent them, I might have been in the middle of a conversation. It's kind of hard for me to acknowledge the gifts. But I truly appreciate you guys so much. I really love all you guys. You guys make this really, really fun to do. And if you enjoy this live stream, consider following me here if you're not already following. And if you were a guest here today on this live stream and you want to go back and watch our conversation, go subscribe to my YouTube. The link's in the bio, and you can go back and watch our conversation, and you can see where you were wrong and where I was right. So if you'd like to go back and watch that, go ahead and subscribe to my YouTube. I'm almost at 700 subscribers. I'm at just a little over 600 subscribers, I think, 650-ish, somewhere around there. So, but yeah, if you're looking for something new to listen to in the background while you're like driving or cleaning or working, consider putting on my YouTubes. I've got really, really interesting live streams. I get some pretty wild guests. I try to keep it as entertaining as possible. So if you guys have been watching me, you know that I try to keep it entertaining. But thank you so much, guys. I love you all. If you guys hate me, I'm sorry. If you guys love me, I love you too. And if you were a Christian here today and you thought that this was blasphemy, good, because it was a blast for me too. I had a lot of fun. See what I did there? See what I did there? OG is still crying in the comments, guys. He's still crying in the comments. All right, see you guys later, man. I love you guys.